Hey, it's been a while since I've done a James Saroka update. Since the last time I talked about him, he has gotten out of jail again and has managed to travel his way across the country for no particular reason, claiming that his family's there even though he doesn't have a family, ultimately landing him at Steve Kelso's place, who this interview is with and what this video is about. James stayed with Steve for about 4 or 5 days, and in that time managed to get about $400 out of him in various things that he spent on him.
So altogether, what I've spent on him total, at most, probably a little bit less than $400.
As well as drive him up the wall, try to hit on him.
Started getting touchy-feely with me. In the living room, I'd be on the computer, and he came up behind me, and he put his arms around me, like to cuddle with me. And he could see that I really didn't like it. He could see that I was visibly uncomfortable. And then he also kissed me on the cheek. I really didn't like that at all.
Displayed signs of extreme paranoia.
So we literally couldn't go anywhere in public without him saying that somebody was spying on us and we'd have to leave. We go to this place, we have to leave. We go to that place, we have to leave.
And ended with him threatening Steve.
He started giving me threats. He said, if this doesn't work out, if I'm not allowed to stay here permanently, I'm going to make sure that you lose this apartment and that you're homeless. So he basically blackmailed me, saying if I don't do this for him.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So this interview goes into all that. It's kind of a long one, but there's definitely some good bits worth sticking around for. Also, if you want more up-to-date Jimmy content, I've been updating my Twitter pretty much constantly. I'll leave the link in the description below. And I've also started an archive channel of all his live streams since he's been back, which I'll also put in the description below. I'm also working on a fully up-to-date James Saroka video, so stick around for that. Anyways, without further ado, here is the interview with Steve Kelso. Enjoy.
Hey, what's going on, Steve?
Not much. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Not bad. I'm doing pretty well. Just came home from work.
Nice.
It's a good day so far.
That's good. Any day without Jimmy is a good day, right? So.
Yeah, I'll say. That's for sure.
So, I haven't really told anyone anything about our conversation or anything. So if you want to tell people your experience with him over the past, I guess, week or so. Yeah, and then we can.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, sure. So whoever was listening, my name is Steve Kelso. I've been friends with James for several years now, probably 7 years. So yeah, I met up with him. That's all right. I met up with him as soon as he got to California. I met up with him, and he was staying with me up until yesterday. Things were okay at the beginning, and things went downhill very quickly. It turned out to be a huge disaster. It was a big mistake, and God, I didn't know if I'd be able to get rid of him. But yeah, we can talk in detail about what happened from start to finish. Since he came out of jail, I didn't have much contact with him, and I didn't really know if I wanted to have much contact with him. We were good friends in the past, and back then he was just a normal dude. There was always accusations that he was a scammer, a grifter, a chalich, all that stuff. But he was always pretty a good guy to me. When I hung out with him, we had great conversations. He's kind of like a normal guy, and I was hoping he'd be like that this time. I didn't really follow his recent streams. I didn't really watch it. I didn't really know much about what he was doing, but I'd look him up on Twitter and I'd see some of his streams that people would repost little bits here and there. And I knew about, his scheme about, looking for sugar mommies and sugar daddies, and OnlyFans and all that stuff. I'm like, this does not seem like the James I knew in the past. It seems like it's kind of low class, trashy stuff, but, I thought, yeah. But he started messaging me again. He got back in touch with me, and this is when he was in Florida. And he said, "Hey, I'm thinking about coming out to California. Would I be able to stay with you?" And I said, "Sorry, no. The condo that you stayed with me last time, I sold it. Now I'm renting an apartment, and I have a roommate, and I don't really have any extra space. I kind of have a small room. There's no bed or anywhere for you to sleep." And if you stay here, my roommate's not going to be okay with that because she's paying rent. You can't afford paying rent. It's not fair to her. I don't really ever have people over. Yeah, I don't really have people over. So, I mean, I can maybe meet up with you and hang out, but unfortunately, you can't stay here. I said, okay, what about your parents' house in Laguna? Is that an option? Because he stayed there last time. My parents had a second house in Laguna.
I remember that. Is that when he jumped on your table barefoot?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I said,
is that the place he called a mansion?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the street it was called Belle Maison, which in French means beautiful mansion. That's the name of the street, but it was not a mansion. It was a beautiful home. It was a big house, but it was just a generic tract home. It was not a mansion. Um, but I said my parents sold that house over a year ago. They don't have a house in California anymore. He's like, oh, okay, but maybe we can meet up. And even then, I was still iffy about meeting up with him. And then he
Right.
got closer to California. I was traveling a lot the last few months. I wasn't really in touch with what he was doing. I didn't really pay attention. And I heard he was in Texas. And then I got a few people message me warning me, like, hey, you know that James is on his way to California. I'd be really careful if you're thinking about meeting up with him. You know, his mental
Yeah,
health has
because
gotten worse. Yeah, his mental health has
you're the
gotten
only
worse.
one that we know that he knows out there, right? So we
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you were the one in California that he's talking about, like the family he has
yes.
here, and
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
So
He
yeah,
he doesn't.
I had a feeling it was you that whole time.
Yeah, a lot of people did. He doesn't know anybody else here. Not a soul. There's
Yeah,
nobody.
nobody else.
Yeah, there's
Exactly.
no.
He has no family there.
Yeah, he'll claim that he has family here and all these connections. He doesn't. It's all BS. I'm the only person here he knows, and that's probably the reason why he came to California. But he never told me what his plan was to come here. He didn't really give me much information. He was secret about his location. I didn't really care to ask. I said, okay, maybe I'll hang out with him. And then he got to Texas, and I realized he was getting closer and closer. And I know I
like
felt like I was
like the
getting nervous.
plague.
Yeah, exactly. And then I got warnings from his haters, and I did take those warnings seriously. I wasn't like, "Oh, James is a perfect angel. All you haters, y'all crazy in your head. He's a perfect angel." Of course not. Of
no,
course,
yeah,
I knew that a lot of the stuff they're saying was true. I knew about his problems in the past. Obviously, his jail time, the assaults, the mental problems. I knew about all that. But the James I knew, when I hung out with him, he was a pleasant guy to hang out with. He never asked me for money ever. When we hung out the last few years, the most I would do is we hang out. I'd pay for his meals because I understand he didn't have much money, but he never even asked for that. He never asked me for any money. I didn't perceive him as a user. He was just a cool friend to hang out with while he was in town, and it was fine.
right.
But I was hoping, okay, this time would be different. But before he even got here, he was hitting me up for
That
money.
tricky Jimmy.
Yeah. I bought him a hotel room because he said in Florida he almost got eaten by an alligator 3 times. He said, my safety is in danger. I'm in the middle of the dark. I have no place to go.
Was
Can you
his foot
please help?
broken?
Yeah, his foot was broken. And I did buy a hotel room, and it turns out I had to buy him 2 nights a hotel room. That was like the first time. Yeah, well, the 2 nights a hotel
Sorry
room.
for laughing. He's such a dick.
No, yeah, no problem. It's kind of humorous too, but so that was like the first time I really bought him something besides getting a meal when we go out. And then once I bought him that, like the floodgates opened. He was hitting me up left and right, message after message.
Fuck.
Can you buy me cell phone service? Can you give me this gift card? Can you buy me this? Can you send me money every
Oh
single
man.
day? And I didn't. I would just make excuse after excuse. I look, James, I can't buy you all this stuff. I don't make much money. I have high living expenses. Don't have a high paying job. I can't. I can help you out occasionally once in a while. And then he said, okay, I appreciate it. You've already done so much for me. I appreciate it. Thank you. And he'd stop for a little bit. And then a few days later, he'd hit me again. So that was in like the weeks leading up to him coming to California. So I was kind of already annoyed by that. So that's why I was kind of
Right.
iffy about meeting up with him. But then I found out, so yeah, I didn't really know if I wanted to meet up with all. And then I found out he messaged me, hey, I'm in LA, which is like 40 minutes from me. I'm here at LA Union Station. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, maybe we can hang up. Like, yeah, can you pick me up right now? And I said, right now? Like, this is really short notice. That's kind of a far drive. I'm actually very
Steve, may I
sick.
ask you a question real quick?
Yeah,
Do you know if
sure.
he has a second device?
Yes, now he has two.
So he has
Um,
to. Okay, so he's watching this from the second device.
okay.
So he's listening. Okay, just be
Okay, good. Yeah,
aware.
sure. Yeah, he can listen to everything I'm saying. Everything I'm
All right, cool.
saying, I
Public,
everything I'm saying, I will say to his face. Again, I stand
Right. No,
for it.
okay. Yeah, no problem.
So I'm glad he's listening because this is stuff that he needs to hear. Well, obviously he knows a lot of stuff because he lived it, but from my perspective, this is stuff he needs to hear. So hi, James.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So where was I? So he said he wanted me to pick him up at Union Station right now. I'm like, I'm actually really sick. I had tonsillitis and I was recovering from it. I can't really go right now. I can pick you up tomorrow after work. And he said, okay. So I bought him a train ticket, the Metrolink from Union Station to Santa Ana, where I live. I bought him the ticket. And yeah, he came down the next day. He had to stay the night at Union Station because I couldn't pick him up that night because there was no more trains. And after work, I came and I picked him up. He met me at the Santa Ana Main Place Mall, and I saw him for the first time in years. And he looked like kind of like the James I remember. He didn't look like some dirty homeless person. He looked normal. He looked fairly healthy.
Did he have the rapey beard?
Yeah. Yeah, he had that beard. Yeah.
Did his foot look okay? Like, was he limping or anything? Because he had a
No.
broken foot apparently a week prior, right?
Yeah. Oh no, his foot was in terrible shape. He came in and he said, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm finally seeing you. It's like this is amazing. This is the first time in ages I've actually been with somebody I know and trust. It's unreal." He was like super happy, and I was kind of happy to see him too. He was in good spirits, and at first it felt like I was being with like an old friend again. You know, he seemed like the same James last. He was very pleasant, very upbeat, super excited and happy that he was finally with somebody he knows again. And then we kind of drive off, and he takes off his sock, and I see his foot, and it's like covered with these. Yeah, it's covered with these infected wounds, and it was really bad. I felt really bad. Like there was like fluid, like kind of leaking out, and blood had soaked through the socks. His foot was all swollen. His toes were swollen. He said his toes were broken. And it was in really bad shape.
Walk on glass? Like, why is this?
Yeah, well, because he walked hundreds of miles, I guess, and he didn't have proper walking shoes. There were like
he was wearing flip flops.
Like flip flops, yeah, and they're all over his feet, some on his legs, mostly his feet. It looked like it was a really bad infection. I said, like, you need to get this taken care of.
You need a doctor.
Yeah. Exactly. Like if you don't take care of this infections will spread. He's like, yeah, I know. I want to go to a hospital. It's like, okay, I can look into a hospital. I can take you to. In the meantime, like he said, he was very hungry. Do you want to go out somewhere to eat? And I said, yeah. So we end up going to Red Robin, a burger joint, and we ate there. And it was regular lunch. We had a normal conversation. Everything was fine. He told me he had quit smoking, which is great. I don't judge him.
He shouldn't have started smoking, to be honest. I don't know why.
He only smoked for a week. What the fuck?
Yeah.
But like,
he said he did it because he had to. I forgot the reason why. He said
did he get emphysema?
Yeah. I don't know. But
why did he say he had to?
Yeah, he gave me this explanation. Some conspiracy theory or something. I forgot. He gave me some BS reason why he had to start smoking. I don't remember the answer. Some BS made up conspiracy, something undercover. I don't
focused.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so he said he quit smoking, so he never did smoke while he was with me. I guess that's good. So yeah, we had lunch there. I got him for his foot. I got him antibiotic ointment and bandages, so at least the antibiotics can kind of kill the germs and hopefully get in control. We didn't end up going to hospital. But yeah, we went to.
You should have got an axe, Steve, and just.
There's a new Steve. Hey, new Steve.
Hey, how are you?
Steve Kelso.
Hey, I just heard about apparently Jimmy has glass in his toe. What happened?
Glass?
No, Steve is telling his whole story regarding Jimmy the past couple of days.
No.
Yeah, for like the past week or so. Yeah.
Was he staying with you?
Yeah, he was up until yesterday.
No!
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's kind of a long story, a lot of details to talk about, trying to going through everything I remember. But so we so it started a week ago. Last Wednesday, we ate lunch at Red Robin, and it was a good lunch. We had a normal conversation. In the car, he asked me, "Hey, can you unplug your dash cam?" I said, "Well, yeah, I can, but why?" Well, because the dash cam's recording the audio. I'm like, oh, well, okay. I understand he's paranoid and doesn't want the audio record on the dash cam. So I unplugged the dash cam, no big deal. And then after that, we hung out, and then I didn't really know where to drop him off. We went over to my apartment, not that he was going to stay there. And this is at night, and I guess he was still in pain with his foot. And he was saying, yeah, I have no idea where I'm going to go now. Like, he doesn't know anybody here. He literally only had the clothes on his back. He had
He
no
was trying to
backpack.
move in with you.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, he was. And then, so he had nothing.
He wanted a sugar daddy is what he wanted.
Yeah, he did it. I'm definitely not going to be anybody's sugar daddy. But he asked for change of clothes. I came out with some of my clothes, and he changed into it. And the clothes he had, he threw it away. And he had no place to stay. I didn't really know where to take him or where to drop him off. Like, there's nowhere I can think of. He's like,
Take
do
him
you
to
know?
Skid Row.
I know. Yeah, that would have been an idea. I did look up a homeless shelter. I thought, like, there's a great homeless shelter. I passed by it right next to work. It's the Salvation Army homeless shelter. It's actually a pretty good resource. You can probably stay there, but when I looked into it, you can't just show up. You have to
No, you gotta like go through a
you
whole
have to see,
process.
have to see a counselor. They have to like interview you, give
That
you a
shit
whole.
can take months sometimes.
Yeah, you can't just show up and sleep there. So unfortunately, that idea was off the table. He asked me, "Do you know anybody I could sleep with anywhere, like in their garage or anything?" Like, no, not really. And I didn't know what to do. So I'm like, I don't know where to go. I didn't know where to take him. So I'm like, well, if you want, I guess maybe you can sleep in my car, I guess. I know it's not really comfortable, but it's maybe better than being on the streets. You have a place to like lay down and like be safe. It's like, oh my God, so much. Yes, thank you so much. And he hugged me.
And then he
So
stole your car?
No, he didn't
Okay, thank
steal my
God.
car. Yeah, so I let him sleep in my car. I gave him the pool key because at night he probably has to go to the bathroom and there's no toilet except like the pool area. So I gave him a key to the pool area so he can go in there and use the restroom if he has to go to the bathroom. So he slept in the car that first night. The next day, I went to work, and while I was at work, he hung out at the pool. He soaked his feet in like the chlorine. I guess the chlorine in the water, the chlorine kills germs. I think maybe that
in your
helped.
pool?
Yeah, yeah, in my pool, yeah. So he soaked his feet in there. He hang out by the pool while I was at work. He went to Panera Bread. He spent hours in there. Panera Bread. He has this sip club pass, so he can order free drinks, and he can just chill in there, use their Wi-Fi. Yeah, and then afterwards, he asked to use my Wi-Fi at home. Obviously he can't go inside, but I told him you can probably get the Wi-Fi signal from outside of my apartment. There's a bench right in front of my patio. You can sit on that bench, and it's close enough to my Wi-Fi. So he did. He logged into my Wi-Fi and he sat on this bench
Did he
outside.
stream while on the bench?
I didn't think he streamed at all while he was with me.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just don't want those weirdos
for like a
doxing
week.
you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he spent hours and hours on that bench. And then so eventually Friday, like that was, I had the weekends off. Friday, I finished work and I had free time. Normally, I rarely have 2 days off. I'm usually a very busy person. I worked 40, 60, 80 hours a week. When I'm not working, I go to the gym. When I'm not doing that, I'm traveling. I'm usually a pretty busy person. But I actually had 2 days off with no plans, which is pretty rare for me. It's like, well, I have no plans. I'll hang out with him. I'll help him run his errands and help him do what he needs to do to start up a new life in California. So Friday, we hung out, and then I actually let him come inside because my roommate wasn't home. I figured it's a Friday night, it's no big deal if I have a friend over. So he came in and we hung out, and he instantly made himself at home. He was just walking around just in his underwear.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
He just stretched out and just walking in his underwear. And first I mean, I was okay with it, but if my roommate sees this, first of all, I didn't even tell my roommate about that James even exists. I didn't tell because I didn't plan for him to come over. When I met up with him, I had no intention of letting him stay.
He's a fucking stray dog that you find out on the street.
Yeah,
Like, you gotta take him home. It doesn't
yeah,
end there.
yeah, but not just that. I mean, we have a history together. So he was very personable when I first met up with him that day earlier, and so he kind of gained my trust pretty quickly because he seemed like a normal guy. I didn't see aggression. I didn't see paranoia. He seemed like a normal guy. So
Yeah, because he wanted to live with you. Of course, he's gonna play nice.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought, is he really able to turn it off and on? And I think he is able to turn it off. He is at least able to hide it when he knows, and I think he knows when he needs to hide it.
Yeah, when he wants something.
Yes, exactly. So he immediately made himself comfortable. He's just walking around in his underwear. Like, God, if my roommate sees this, like, she doesn't even know this guy, just random guy in his underwear walking around the kitchen, the bathroom. She's going to get uncomfortable. So he did put on shorts after that. But when he was in my room, he just had his underwear on, like kind of just really made himself at home. And then when we hung out, it was our conversations, it was just him going on and on about these made up lies and fantasies and these BS stories. And it was to the point where like this, I don't even care to listen. This is so stupid. Like he he would go on and on about all these lies that he made up in his head.
Like
And
what kind of stories?
okay,
Sorry to cut you off.
oh yeah, no worries. So he said, I could give you an example for hours, but
yeah, just like one.
No,
yeah,
these are like because I'm a little curious as well.
Yeah, I'm curious.
yeah. Well, one, he said he just recently met up with his father. He said it turns out his father's not dead. Years ago, his father joined some secret, covert, undercover government ops agency or whatever that BS was. And that standard procedure is they give you a new identity and they fake your death, and that they made a tombstone with his name on it to fake his death and give him a new identity. And it turns out he was in this secret ops thing the whole time, and he faked his death. And he actually met his dad recently, like right before he saw me. That was one thing he said.
And there's no incentive for him to make that up to you. Like that's what makes me think. If he's saying that in front of an audience for entertainment or to just be silly, like that's one thing. But to say it to you, that makes me think like he's actually delusional.
Me
he
too.
actually believes it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a delusion. A lie is when you know you're not telling the truth, but if you truly believe it, that's a delusion. He said that he's paying people to protect Kate, and if it weren't for that, Kate would be dead by now. He told me that he could have easily had Kate's fiance killed. All he has to do is make one quick phone call, and he's dead.
I don't like that.
Yeah,
I don't like that one.
Well,
yes.
Luckily, they're lies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, lie or truth. I don't like that one.
No.
Yeah. And then he said like these Russians like kidnapped him and hypnotized him into speaking Russian. And he said that there's videos of him speaking fluent Russian when he's never known Russian at all. It's like, honest to God, there's videos of me speaking fluent Russian. And the whole time he's going on this BS, I didn't want to call him out saying you're full of BS. I kind of humored him, and I want to be a good listener. And I didn't want to say you're a liar. So the whole time, like, okay, oh, wow, that's interesting. Oh, cool. And I am so disinterested in this conversation. I was just on my computer, and I wasn't even looking at him when he was speaking to me. And I got just so bored of it over time, I literally fell asleep as he was talking to me. I just knocked out and fell asleep, and he kept talking. But so needless to say, I did not enjoy his company at all. Last time I did. Last time we had cool conversations, but this time it was totally different. I didn't see that right away. It was so boring, him going on and on these lies, because this is a freaking wasted time. If you're telling the truth, this is interesting, but this is all made up stuff. It was so boring. So anyways, that was last Friday. The next day, we start running errands for him, and this is to start up setting up a job, getting him everything he needs to have a new life here. So first we go to the post office.
His ID and stuff?
Yes. So first he needs a physical address to get us all his ID stuff sent here. Some stuff you can get a P.O. box, but there's certain things where you can't use a P.O. box. You have to have like a real address. I didn't really want him to
need to have like a bill. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I didn't really want him to use my mailing address. And I thought, well, it's not really that big a deal. He just needs some mail sent here and he can pick it up. So he went to the post office and he did a change of address form. So he changed his address to my address. I don't know what his old address was. If it was in Pennsylvania or whatever, I really don't know. So he changed his address. After that, he asked me, he wanted to start working. He looked into doing DoorDash, Uber Eats, that stuff. And he asked me if he can use my car. And he asked me, can I drive your car now? Like, can I just drive around the block? And I said, you have no insurance. I'm sorry, no. Like, you have to have insurance.
Or license, right? Like,
well, I think he said he got it when he applied to get a replacement. He said they gave him a temporary license. I don't know if that's true. I never saw it. But he said, I have a temporary license. So with that temporary license, I can start applying for jobs now. So he asked to use my car. I said, no, you can't use my car. You have no insurance. He said, okay, well, then I need to get a bike for transportation. I was like, okay, cool. Like, we'll get you a bike. So we went on OfferUp, found a bike for sale nearby. We went there, bought it from the guy, put it in my trunk, got that taken care of. We went to Target and he needed an actual phone number because for a lot of stuff, you need an actual phone number for verification. And so he went to Target. He got a track phone. He got a track phone on sale, got the card for like 3 gigabytes of data a month, and so we got it. So now he has his own phone number. Got that taken away, and he was filling out job applications, a bunch of job applications. So I figured, okay, he's on the right path. Like he's finally getting a real job.
I'm sorry to cut you off again, but did you pay for all that, or did he?
No, so I paid. Josh sent me money for some stuff. Like, thing is, James can't have a Cash App. So Josh would send some money to me on Cash App, and then I would pay for it. Some of the stuff I paid for out of my own pocket, like the fees for he got a replacement ID, social security card, driver's license, and birth certificate. I paid for all those 3. It was $40, $30, $30. And then for other things like his track phone, Josh paid for that. It was on sale, plus the data plan, Josh paid for that. And for other meals and stuff, I think Josh paid. So I think I only paid for, I paid for when we went out to eat, I paid for that. And I paid for the fees for him to order his documents. So yeah, we took care of that. So I thought he's on the right path. This is looking good. Like he's going to get a real job. He's going to get his documents. He kind of got himself cleaned up. He trimmed his beard in my bathroom. It looked good. Like he was acting normal. He was going to start a new life. Great. And then things started to kind of go downhill.
Well, right there, he could have proved us all wrong. He could have went in the right direction. He could have turned his life around. I would have been mad. I would be like, "Oh, that James," or you know what I mean? But no,
Josh, you were sending him money. You told all of us you weren't sending Jimmy money anymore.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in that for later. But
yeah,
sorry,
I'll put a pin in that one for later.
You keep going, Steve. Sorry.
I don't mean to call Josh out. I really care about him. I don't want, but again, it's his decision what to spend the money
on.
You're
okay.
No, but it's not. You're not. You shouldn't take the whole heat either if you didn't pay for everything. You know.
Yeah. So I know I'm going on these long-winded explanations. So feel free to stop me at any time because things are going to.
No.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
No. Feel free to stop anytime because things are going to pop into your head and you might not forget it if you wait for me to finish my answer. So just anytime you have a question, just feel free to interrupt because these are kind of long-winded answers. So things were okay up to that point. Then things started getting weird. For a few weeks before this, he started suggesting that he was romantically interested in me. At first, he'd say, like, "Are you putting me in the friend zone?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're friends. What do you mean?" He's like, "Just friends?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, we're just friends. Why? Like, are you trying to say something else?" He's like, "I thought
what zone do you want to be in?"
Yeah, exactly. And he said, "I thought we can be more than that." I'm like, "Wait, are you saying that you're gay?" He's like, "Oh, you're making me blush." And he said, "Men understand men." So he's kind of being vague about it, but he was hinting at it. And then he became more direct. I thought we could be more than friends. And then he started, he said that we should try. He said that he was pansexual and that he's attracted to the person, not the gender. So he said he was pansexual and that he was interested in me. And he said, like, maybe we should, like, pursue a relationship. Like, once I get all my stuff in order, like, we should start going on some dates. And I'm thinking, first of all, I don't believe this for a second. This is a freaking obvious tactic. He's trying to try to think that I'm going to become emotionally bonded to him. And if he opens up my heart, he's going to open up my wallet. This is so freaking obvious. I kind of took it as an insult. Like, first of all, you are not attracted to me. And even if you were genuinely attracted to me, I'm not attracted to you in that way. I never have been. I think you're a friend, but I've never been romantically interested in you that way. I should have shut it down right then, but instead I didn't want to kind of burst his bubble or upset him. So I just brushed it under the rug. It's like, yeah, well, I'll think about it. I just gave him a short answer and I changed the subject. I didn't want to talk about it.
Well, yeah, because it's insulting in a way that, like, he thinks that you're only helping him because you're into him or something, right? But you're just trying to help a friend out.
It's also uncomfortable for you. Like, this man's walking around in his underwear in your house. You're paying for everything. And he's like, I want to date you. Fucking weird.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was. And so I took it as an insult. I didn't believe it for a second. You're not interested in me. And even if you were, I would never date you because you're kind of a mess. And I didn't believe it. And so I was hoping he wouldn't bring it up further, but then he started getting touchy-feely with me. In the living room, I'd be on the computer and he came up behind me and he put his arms around me, like, to cuddle with me. And he could see that I really didn't like it. He could see that I was visibly uncomfortable. He's like, "What's wrong?" I just said, I'm not really ready for this yet. He said, "Okay." And then he also, like, kissed me on the cheek. I really didn't like that at all, but I kind of just brushed it off. And I think he was thinking I was going to reciprocate and start touching him, which I never did. I never wanted to touch him. So the whole thing like really kind of bugged me. I don't want you touching me. Don't put your arms around me. And the fact that I know that this is fake, it's fake as hell, makes it even more annoying. So yeah, this was like, so that really made me lose trust in him. The fact that you're doing this and you think that I'm dumb enough to fall for this. So that's one weird thing that started. After that, also he was being super creepy with the people in my apartment complex. At first he said, there's so many pretty Latinas here. When I was hanging at the pool, there are these girls here, and I was talking to them, and I can tell that they're like really into me, and they might be underage. I'm not sure.
What?
Oh my god.
Yeah,
oh he actually said that.
Yeah, he said, I think they're 18. They might be underage. I'm not sure, but I'm hoping that one of them will invite me into their apartment to obviously do.
To do what? Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
What?
So
I'm hoping one of them will invite me. Yeah.
Is this day 2 then? Like, is he at this point? Is he still sleeping in the car? Or is he like moved in?
Oh no! So actually, yeah. So he slept in the car Wednesday and Thursday night. Friday when we hung out because my roommate wasn't home, but I knew she'd be coming home later. He was already inside. We were watching movies. He was rambling on and on about his made-up stories. I figured, well, you're already here. My roommate hasn't seen you. My roommate has people over occasionally, very rarely. And I don't know if they've ever spent the night. Not a big deal if he sleeps here. So there wasn't a bed, so he slept on my sectional couch next to me. So I figure, okay, like, it'd be nice for him to at least have a comfortable place to sleep, not in the car. Because at that point, I was still trusting him. At that point, so yeah, he slept inside my apartment Friday and Saturday, and it was fine. Like sleeping next to him, I actually slept pretty well. Nothing happened. He slept next to me. He didn't snore, which is good. And I made him all his meals. He ate a whole lot of food. It was like all he did was eat, and I had to cook him one thing after another. And then he started being super creepy. So he was hoping one of those girls in the neighborhood would invite him into their apartment. And I think they're underage, but I'm not sure. But I saw those girls because when I came home from work, I met him in the pool. And these girls, they looked like they were 14. They did not look like any possibility they could be 18.
Do you know if that happened? Like if it actually, not, like, did he go into their apartment or anything?
No. He says these girls were into him. I don't believe it for a second. He's stroking his ego. There's no way.
Well, I know that. I just,
as far as I know, I'm pretty sure he didn't go in, because if he did, he would have told me all about it. He would have told me all the details. He would have bragged about it if he did. He would proudly tell me all the details, because he's very explicit. He has no problem sharing that stuff with me. So I don't think he did. And then there's this older lady that sits on the bench where he was sitting using the Wi-Fi. She sits there every day to feed the cats. She's like late 50s, early 60s. And he was flirting with her. And when he came back inside, he said, I got her phone number. Well, that's kind of weird. Yeah. And then he said, hey, is she married? I'm like, yeah, she's married. It's like, damn it. Like, first of all, she's like late 50s, early 60s. I don't know why you want to flirt with her. So, yeah, I said, yeah, she's married. She has a husband. Damn it. Do you know if she has any daughters? Yeah, she has daughters, but they live hundreds of miles away. I'm like, damn it. So and he was just talking about how horny he was all the time. And that was kind
of disgusting.
Gross.
Really.
He's a slob. And then, again, he was just in his underwear talking about how horny he is. And I could see his boner popping out of the underwear.
Oh, my God.
And, yeah. That was a little bit uncomfortable.
At what point did you tell him, get the fuck out of my house?
Well, the thing is, he didn't really do anything to me.
Well, I know, but...
Well, except the whole touchy-feely thing. But the thing is, I'm an extremely patient person. Oh, people, they would have, dipped out a long
my house.
Yeah, this is just the beginning. So, yeah. So that happened Saturday, Sunday. And then, let's see, what happened after that? So after that Sunday, I was off that day, so I had no plans. I had the whole day to spend with him. This is when I really started to see his paranoid creep in, and it really started to become a problem. At first, I just brushed it off it became a serious problem. It started off gradual and got worse. But at first, when he was paranoid and said stuff, worried about people watching us, worried about people following us, I thought to myself, okay, this is just his quirk. this is just something I have to accept. Nobody's perfect. I have little quirks in my personality. It's not a big deal. That's what I thought to myself at first. I'm just going to tolerate.
Maybe it would go away if he's not on social media all the time and stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I figured, okay, I'm just going to ignore it and go along with it. And it actually got worse and worse. We literally couldn't go anywhere in public without him saying that somebody was spying on us, and we'd have to leave. We'd go to this place, we have to leave. We go to that place, we have to leave. It got really annoying. For example, we went to Costco, and I ordered a whole pizza for us to share. And I go to the dining tables to sit down, and James looks at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, what? He's like, are we going to really eat this here? Yeah, this is a dining table. This is where everybody eats. And he's like, well, could we eat this in the car? I'm like, well, this pizza box is huge and my car's kind of small. I don't know. It's going to be really awkward. And also it's like 120 degrees in my car.
It's messy too.
Yeah,
Costco
messy.
pizza.
Yeah.
It's greasy.
But you guys could feed each other pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's like 120 degrees in my car. It's like, it's okay. We can just blast the AC. And like, okay, well, we'll eat in my car then. And then he whispers into my ear, he says, hey, you know, that people sitting right there, I noticed that they're giving me a weird look and I don't trust them. And I look and it's this Chinese family with these toddler boys. Okay, and I think it's okay, these are not undercover spies, get over it. That's what I wanted to say to him.
Right.
All right.
He thought they were spies.
Yeah. So he thought this Chinese family was listening to us and reporting back our conversation, but whatever. Okay, we'll find. Yeah, we'll leave my car. Yeah, it is. No, he is super racist. He wasn't racist before. Like none of this was a problem last time I hung out with him. None of this.
He's
but anyway,
probably part of the Aryan Brotherhood in jail.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably was. Yeah. So we go to my car to eat the pizza, and we just start eating the pizza, and he's like, "Can we leave?" I'm like, "We just started eating. Like I have pizza grease all over my hands." It's like, "Oh yeah, let's just leave. Can we go?" Like we just started eating. We want to leave. Like where? Like can we go to Panera Bread? I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh my God! What?
Yeah. I said, "Well, there's not really one near here, but I guess I'll look one up." So I did. I looked up a Panera Bread. We drive there. It's kind of annoying because we just started eating. Now we have to leave, probably because he saw somebody in another car and thought the person was watching us, as always. So we go to Panera Bread, and I park there, and he goes inside and orders his drink because he has that sip club. So for $10 a month, you can order as many drinks as you want. So he goes, Panera Bread, gets his drink, and comes out. And when I thought we were going to start eating our pizza, he says, "Okay, do you want to park now?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Like the car is parked. Like we're already in park. What do you mean? Do you want to park? We are parked." And he said, "No, like park somewhere else." I'm like, "Park somewhere else? Like where?" He said, "Just, I don't know, somewhere else." I'm like, "All right, we'll park somewhere else." So I start the car and I drive to the other side of the parking lot. I'm like, "Okay, we're parked somewhere else. Let's continue to eat." And then like we go to a McDonald's, and yeah,
so
this is
just so I have like the clear picture painted in my mind. So you got the pizza at Costco, and then you went to eat it in the car, and then he made you drive to Panera Bread to eat the pizza in the car at Panera Bread after you changed parking spots once you got his drink.
Exactly. Yeah.
I wanted to go the back of Panera to eat too.
Why? Why? I don't understand. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then another example, we went to McDonald's and he ordered a combo on the mobile app. And then we go into the parking spot, his mobile order pickup parking spot, and waiting for our food. And he says, "Hey, you see that homeless guy over there?" And I look over, I said, "Yeah, there's a homeless guy with a sign. Like they're all over California. Like, yeah, I see him. Hey, he's not really a homeless man. He's actually disguised as a homeless man. Like, I know who that is. And he's trying to get closer to our car so he can listen to our conversation." And I'm thinking I said, "Well, that homeless man is actually far away from us. He's not close enough to hear us, and our windows are rolled up." It's like, "Yeah, I don't want him listening to conversation. Can we leave?" Like, "All right, we'll leave." Okay. So he says, "Yeah, I know who all these guys are." Like, "Okay, we'll leave." And then 10 seconds later, he says, "Did you just see that?" I'm like, "See what?" That Mexican guy on that bike right there, he just took out his phone and took pictures of me. And I look at this guy on the sidewalk, and it's this guy on his bike and he's holding his phone. I'm like, and I'm pretty sure he didn't take pictures of you. Yeah, he just took out his phone and was taking pictures of me. I know who this guy is. I know who all these people are. I can spot them from a mile away. I know who these people are. And like, and at this point, I'm getting kind of annoyed. Like, this happened every freaking place we went in public. Somebody is following us and spying on us. First of all, at this point, nobody knows where James is. Nobody knew James was staying with me. I did not tell a soul. But he thinks all these people knew where we were going to be, what time we were going to be there, and they're in disguise listening to us. This happened every freaking place. So you can imagine this is getting kind of like tiresome and annoying after a while.
Yeah, I thought this guy
Yeah.
Maddie was giving him money and stuff. Yeah, I didn't know he was with you. Honestly, I don't
Yeah.
think anyone did. So he was just being like crazy paranoid, and he wasn't on live, so we couldn't have found him. Yeah.
I don't know how you keep dealing with that, driving all those spots. You're too patient.
Yeah, I was too patient. I was very patient, but eventually my patience ran out, and that's when everything blew up. I'll get to that, but like he also asked me to upgrade. I have a Planet Fitness membership, and he wanted me to upgrade my membership so I could bring a guest for free. And he said, yeah, we can work out together. We can go to the gym together. We can be gym buddies, and I can go in there and use their shower. I'm like, great. I actually wanted a gym buddy to work out with. We can motivate each other. It's like, yeah, I'm going to show you how to do the shoulder exercises. Like, perfect. That's exactly what I want to work on. I like that idea. But knowing James, I should have realized no plan that he ever comes up with actually happens the way he says it would. I should have realized that that's not what's actually going to happen. So I upgraded my Planet membership so I could bring in guests for free, and I thought that we were going to be going to the gym together and work out. And so we get to the Planet Fitness. We walk in. I scan my membership, and James immediately turns left to go into the changing locker area. I assume because he had to use the restroom, and then I go over to use the machines. And I noticed that James didn't come out of the changing room. And I figured, okay, maybe he's having like massive diarrhea. Maybe he has an intestinal crisis and he's going to be in there for a while. I don't know why he's in there so long. But yeah, so I'm just whatever. I'm just going to keep whatever. He's doing something weird again. I should be used to this. Whatever. So I don't go in there looking for him. I don't text him. Whatever. I'm just going to do my workout. If whatever he's doing, I don't care. I don't care anymore. So I start working out. I worked out for 2 hours and he never came out of the changing room. 2 hours. Like, what the hell is he doing in there? So eventually, I didn't even bother to text him. I didn't even care anymore. And so as I'm leaving to leave the gym, he happened to come out of the changing room right before me, and he was walking ahead of me. So we walk out the gym and say, "Hey, like, what happened to you? Like, you were in the changing room the whole 2 hours?" He's like, "Yeah. When we walked in, I didn't like the people here." I'm like, "Well, what did they do?" He's like, "Well, it's not what they did. They didn't really do anything." Like, okay, well, what did they say to you? He said, "It's not what they said." Okay, so they didn't do anything. They didn't say anything. What is it?
Yeah.
And he said, it was their nonverbal cues. I'm like, what? It was their nonverbal cues he didn't like. He didn't like their body language. And I said, James, look. Yeah, he said, James, look, you're here to use the machines. Don't worry about anybody else. You don't have to look at them. You don't have to pay attention to them. You're there to use the machines. You're there for you. You're there for your workout.
One thing about the gym, nobody gives a fuck about what happens at the gym. Everybody's sweaty. Everybody's making weird noises.
Exactly.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, but what I don't get is he said people will have this attitude and he didn't like their body language. But the thing is, the minute we walked into the entrance, he went immediately into the changing room. Like, he didn't even interact with me. He went immediately in the changing room as soon as we walked in. So that's what I don't understand. I said, look, you need to let go of this. Like, nobody cares. Like, you're there for you. I would just ignore this. He said, well, it may be easy for you to do that, but it's not that easy for me. He kind of got defense. I'm like, okay, so you're never going to go to this gym again? He said, that's right. I am never, ever going to the gym again. I'm like, wonderful. So I upgraded my membership for nothing. I'm paying a higher fee so that we could work out together. You can use a shower, and now you're never coming to this gym again. I just upgraded my membership, wasted my money. Wonderful. So yeah, that was that. So
maybe you can find someone else to take there who deserves it more. You can find an actual gym buddy.
Yeah, exactly. So I noticed his paranoia was getting much worse. We could not go anywhere in public without having to leave right away. And again, that never happened the last time I hung out with James. So again, my patience is starting to wear thin. So Monday, again after work. So Monday he went back to sleeping in the car because, like, okay, on the weekends, on my day off, I get to stay up late. We can watch movies. Not a big deal if you just kind of fall asleep. My roommates sometimes go out on the weekend. So that was okay. But during the week, like, he's got to go back to sleeping in the car, which he was fine with. He slept in the car. And then Monday, I met up with him after work. And it was to the point where, like I told you, I don't enjoy his company at all. In fact, I would stay at work longer and I would stay at the gym longer because I didn't even want to come home. I just didn't enjoy his company, like the stuff he was saying.
He's becoming a hassle on your life.
Yes,
Stressful.
exactly. So I kind of want to get rid of him, but it seemed like his life was getting back on track. And so,
did you see potential in him, Steve?
Yeah, I did, because he has certain, like, he's a very good speaker. He's intelligent in some ways, but I was hoping maybe I think it was unreal. I was unrealistically optimistic that he could overcome his mental issues and maybe integrate himself into normal society. Now that's a pretty.
But may I ask how you felt about him being in jail? Like, what went through your mind with all that?
Yeah, so I was pretty surprised when I found out that he actually punched Kate, because I never witnessed any violence from him before. But, like, I also knew Kate too. They both stayed with me for a short time. And I know, like, Kate didn't display any signs of battered women syndrome at that point. Maybe later on it got worse after she left. But Kate was pretty feisty. Like, she could hold her own in an argument. And James said that Kate hit him also. Like, Kate would hit him. So it seems like they were both hitting each other. I don't know if it's true that Kate hit Jim, but he says that she also hit him. Of course, like, when I realized that, I wanted to disassociate.
Well, she also raped him, but that's just Jimmy being Jimmy.
I mean, men do that. When men abuse women, they'll be like, "Oh, she hit me once,"
exactly.
and they're like shoving him away.
Yes,
it's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Did you see the news of?
Yes.
What
I saw all of that. I was told about it. I mean, I wasn't actively following him. Like, I wasn't really following him on social media. I wasn't talking to him that much at that point. It's funny because the day he got arrested, I happened to reach out to him like a few hours before that arrest. It was just a coincidence. Like, I literally reached out to him. Hey, how are you doing? I haven't heard from you.
That's pretty strange.
And then literally hours later, he was arrested. It was the same day. Like, that was kind of weird.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I was very concerned. Okay, but after he got out of jail, I figured, look, he did the crime and he did his time. Kate moved on. She has a fiance. She's detached herself. She's not attached to Jim anymore. I thought this is probably the best scenario that could happen after this. This is great. Like, she moved on. James, he paid his dues. He did the crime. He served his time. Like, what else do you want? Now he's coming to California, starting a new life. I thought, okay, this is what should be happening. Like, I thought this was great. This is gonna be a new start. They both moved on, although he was kind of attached to Kate. But he was also looking into exploring new relationships. So I thought this was on a good track, and that's what encouraged me more to meet up with him. Like I said, when he was on his way here, I really had to think about if I wanted to meet up with him. Based on the warnings I got, I really weighed my options, and I knew it was taking a risk to meet up with him. But my plan was, I'm going to meet up with him in public, and I'm going to get a read on him. If he seems normal, if he seems like the James I always knew, which he did at first, I'll hang out with him. If I get weird vibes from him, if he starts saying weird stuff, if he shows aggression, if he's acting erratic, I'll be like, well, it was a nice lunch. Gotta go. That was my plan. And he did make a good first impression. So he earned my trust very quickly, and I think he knew how to mask it. And so all this stuff gradually started going downhill. Okay, so that's how it all started. So I don't think I was being careless. I knew I was taking a risk, and I did take those warnings seriously. I really did. I thought about it.
Well, I'm sure he stressed that no one else is going to help him out, which is like, that is true. Like, he's pretty much run out all his resources with everyone else because of the way he is, right? You just experienced him over the past.
Except for Josh. Josh, I knew it, man. I'm gonna come after you, bro.
But we got to put a pin in that. Chris is watching you too, Josh. Yeah, and you got around him somehow. No,
get you. I knew what he's up to.
Yeah.
No, we'll talk about that later.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, what things really started to go downhill is when I started growing tired of his paranoid delusions, and he would sometimes accuse me of things I didn't do. He did that before. It was normally about something small, and normally I never disagreed with Jim. I would always say, you're right. I would always agree with him on everything, which I shouldn't have. I never went against him. I never contradicted him. I was always kind of like a yes man which is not a real friendship. I should have really told him more of what I really thought. So he'd accuse me of things. Normally, I'd be like, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I did that. I'm sorry. That's normally what I would say. But at this point, like I said, I started to lose patience.
What kind of thing was he accusing you of? Like, if you don't mind me asking.
He would accuse me of being careless and like saying something out loud when I should have kept it quiet and there's literally nobody around. Because just because you're paranoid doesn't mean I'm going to be paranoid. I'm not thinking that there's spies everywhere. And he would accuse me of doing things like, I'll give you an example. Like the one thing that he blew up, the start of this argument is I came home from work Monday and we were in the parking lot in front of my car when I first parked and got home, and he was going to get in my car. I was telling him how to apply for CalFresh, which is food stamps program. Said you can sign up for this program. They give you a debit card and you can use it to buy all these groceries. And you don't need, if you have no income, you'll qualify. And he said, yeah, okay, cool. I just got this new phone number and here it is if you want to text me. And then while we were talking, he said, that was really kind of careless of you giving out my personal information like that. And I'm like, no, I didn't. He's like, yeah, you kind of did. And I said, no.
To the food stamp people?
No. Well, the thing is, I didn't know what I had no idea. I didn't know what he was talking about. He didn't say. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what he's talking about. So he said, you gave out my personal information. And I said, no, I didn't. And he said, yes, you did. And I said, no, I didn't. What are you talking about? When did I give out your personal information? I would never, ever do that. And he said, you just shouted out my personal information to everybody. I'm like, what? When? And he said, just now. I'm like, what? Just now? I didn't shout out any of your personal information. And this is when I had enough. This is when I finally told him what's on my mind. I said, look, James, you need to get over these paranoid delusions, accusing me of this stuff and not being able to back it up. Look, this is going to tear apart our friendship. These are totally irrational fears. There's no government spies hiding in these bushes behind us. There's nobody hiding under our car. Nobody in this complex cares about who you are. They don't care what you say. They're not paying attention. They don't care. You need to get this through your head. I finally said what was on my mind, and he exploded. He said, don't you ever call me paranoid again. If you ever use that word one more time, you're going to be sorry. And when he's saying this, he's like shaking and his face is red and his fists are clenched like he's ready to punch me. Like, oh my God, this guy's about to snap. So of course, I realized that this could be dangerous. So I'm not going to provoke him any further because he was right on the edge. Like he was trembling, like he was ready to punch me. So there was 100 things I really wanted to say to him at that moment, but being on the safe side, I'm like, okay, James, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm very sorry. I shouldn't have acted that way. Of course, this is all lies. I didn't feel that way. But just to calm him down, it took a lot to calm him down, but he was furious because I called him paranoid, but that's what you are. And then
it's kind of ironic that it got to that point, especially when he claimed that it was like Fernando did that to him and Kate back in the day. Like there was that big fight, right? But he's the one, obviously, who has an anger problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then so he said, you know what? Like it's me and my family that got you into that apartment, so you should be thankful. I'm like, what? You and your family got me into this apartment? What the hell? I applied for this apartment online and I got it myself. I don't even know your family. Where the hell did that come from? Like the most outrageous lies. And he said, I have millions of dollars in the bank account. I don't even be dealing with this. I'm like, okay, you're right.
Oh, but he's applying for food stamps with millions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he exploded. It took a lot for him to calm down. And even after I calmed down, he started giving me threats. He said, if this doesn't work out, if I'm not allowed to stay here permanently, I'm going to make sure that you lose this apartment and that you're homeless. So he basically blackmailed me, saying if I don't do this for him.
Oh my God. Yeah, threaten you too.
Yeah, it's really blackmail because he said,
holy
if you don't do this and that for me. Yeah, if you don't do this and that for me, this is going to happen to you. So he basically blackmailed me.
He's threatening you.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing, he also had this deep resentment towards my roommate when he never even met her, had never even saw her in person.
Wow, he's crazier than I could ever imagine.
Yeah, he said, the reason your roommate is the one thing that's stopping me from moving in. And I'm thinking in my head, well, first of all, I don't want you to ever move in. And he just hated my roommate. He had this deep hatred because I guess he saw my roommate as the one roadblock stopping him from coming in and living here with me for free. So my roommate, she's a great roommate, and he just hated her guts and never even met her. He was sitting outside using the Wi-Fi. I was at work. He texted me, and he was furious. He said, "You know what your roommate did? She just disconnected the Wi-Fi, and she was making coughing noises in front of her window on purpose. Like the bench she was sitting on, it's right in front of her window, so I think she could see. It's right in front of her window." And I told James, that coughing, that's an everyday thing for her. Like she coughs every day. That's normal. She's always coughing. I think she has maybe emphysema or scarred lung tissue. That's something she can't help it. She's not doing that on purpose.
Smokes weed, like people cough.
And I said, first of all, she would never unplug the Wi-Fi. She would never go into my room. She'd have to go in my room and unplug my Wi-Fi. And it's my Wi-Fi. I pay for it. She would never, ever do that. She's super mature. She is super mature and respectful. She would never disconnect it. The problem is the router freezes and the internet stops working. That happens all the time. The router freezes and I have to unplug it to restart it. That happens all the time. He said, I don't care what you say. I know for a fact that she disconnected the Wi-Fi on purpose. This is unacceptable. He was furious. So again, paranoid delusions. He absolutely hated my roommate. So we had that big argument. We argued for like an hour, and he got super heated. I tried to stay calm and collected. But after I calmed him down, and again, even still then, I did not want to give up on our friendship. I do not give up easily on anything. Anybody who knows me will tell you that I do not give up easily. Other people would have said, peace out, I'm over this. So again, I said, look, I'm willing to bury this in the past. I'm willing to just forgive and forget. Like we can smooth this out, pretend this argument never happened, and we'll get a fresh start. Okay. He said, I don't know if I can trust you after this. And he said, I'm going to give you one more chance. And I would only do this for you because you've done so much for me. And I'm thinking, wow, you're giving me a second chance. Wow, how generous of you. I feel so honored. I'm getting a second chance. That's what I'm thinking in my head. But of course, I have to calm down. So I'm like, oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm thinking, are you freaking kidding? You're giving me a second chance? Okay, this is just crazy. So I wanted to patch this up and smooth things out. And he calmed down. And then right after that, he acted like normal again. Like he said, okay, can I have some food? Because I haven't eaten today. So I go into my kitchen and I bring him out some food, and then he spends the night in the car, and then he's texting me like we're best friends. And I thought, okay, like I guess everything's smoothed out. Yeah,
I think over it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought everything was fine. But during our argument, I was really upset, but I didn't show it. During our argument, he asked me, hey. He was in the middle of yelling at me, and he says, hey, I want to ask you a serious question. I hope you don't get offended, but do you have like a developmental handicap or something? It's like, oh, you're calling me retarded. Basically, you're saying I'm retarded. No, actually, I'm not retarded. Believe it or not, no. And I was really offended by that question, asking me if I have a developmental handicap.
He's like gaslighting.
Wait, he was asking you if you had autism?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's because he has autism.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that. He has like some kind of really bad personality.
He got
he has straight mental illness.
Yeah.
He's unmedicated. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that was Monday night, and then I thought we patched it up, and then so yesterday, Tuesday, he spent the night in my car, and I guess like when he's sleeping in my car, he's been turning on the AC a lot on and off. I mean, it's hot here during the day, but at night it's really not hot. But he just likes to blasts the AC full blast. But thing is, I have a hybrid car with the battery, so when you start the car, the engine doesn't start up right away, and the engine recharges the battery. So if you're having the AC on full blast, shut off the car, have the AC on full, shut off the car. If you keep doing that over and over all night long, and you're not driving the car long enough to where the engine can recharge the battery, it's going to kill the battery. And I didn't realize he was doing that, but I found out he's been running the AC on and off all night long. And so when I get to the car, everything's fine. It says, there's this low battery warning flashing on your dashboard. And I think that's weird because this car is actually pretty new. That's a pretty new battery. It should last at least 5 years. Like, are you sucking up a lot of power? I said, yeah, I think so. Like I'm running the AC a lot and I'm charging my phone. It's like, yeah, I think that's going to kill the battery if you do that. And he got really pissed off. He's like, well, that's the only option. Like, if you kill the battery, sorry, I have to do this. And I'm thinking, well, the thing is, you can't really kill my car battery, because if my car doesn't start, I'm stranded and I can't get to work. I can't really let that happen. And he got super pissed off. Well, that's the only option. Like, okay, but you really can't kill my car battery. I have to go to work. It's like,
I wonder if he knew that. Like, I wonder if because if he's saying it like that, it's the only option. Like, maybe he's thinking, well, then you'll let him inside to charge his phone, and he won't have to use the air conditioner, even though he shouldn't need to use the air conditioner.
Maybe. Yeah, it could be that. And he said, what do you mean that's the only option? He said, either I run the AC out all night or I die of oxygen deprivation. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Yeah, that's what he said. He said, I require more oxygen than normal people.
Oh, my God.
What the fuck?
I'm thinking, wait a minute. All four windows are rolled down. There's air coming in and out of the car. All four windows are rolled down. How in the world can you die of a lack of oxygen when all four windows are rolled down? And he got super pissed off. He said, apparently you care more about your car battery than you do about me dying. I'm like, okay,
that's when you should have asked him if he was developmentally delayed or something.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that was a little bit melodramatic to say he was going to die if he didn't run the AC on and off, because really it's not that hot at night yet at this point. And all four windows are down. Like, how could you die of lack of oxygen? It's scientifically impossible. The windows roll down. So he got super pissed off. And this was just getting worse and worse by the minute. I'm like, oh my God. And then I said, okay, that low battery warning light, it's not on now, but I want to see what it looks like. Do me a favor. Next time that warning light comes on, maybe it's not the battery. Can you take a picture of it and send it to me so I could look up in the owner's manual to see what that warning light is? And he said, I'm tired of you trying to entrap me. I'm like, what? Entrap you?
Entrap you?
How am I trying to entrap you by asking you to send me a photo of a warning light on my
dashboard? He's entrapping you.
Yeah. I'm like, what the hell? And so he kept going on and on. Yeah. And I said, look, I really want to wrap up this argument, but I have to leave right now. Like, I'm running late for work. I cannot be late to work. I have trainees waiting for me. I have to leave now. I'm really sorry. We'll continue this when I get home. And on my way to work, I'm just stressed out. This whole week, it's been stress overload. Like, I cannot deal with this. I have better things to do with my life. I'm a busy person. I have quality friendships. Like, I try to help him to the point, dude, this is getting literally worse by the minute. Like,
Steve,
his behavior.
May I ask you a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Was it recent you got a roommate?
No. This was about a year ago.
Okay, just curious. No problem.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, so on my way to work, I'm like, oh my God, this is getting crazier by the minute. I cannot handle this anymore. Like, this is way too much stress. I want the least amount of stress in my life. I just see this getting worse and worse. I can forgive him for this argument. I can forgive him the next argument, the argument after that. But what's going to happen the next day, the day after that, dude, it's literally getting worse by the day. He's getting more aggressive, more combative, more paranoid. Oh my God, this situation is getting worse. I have to cut him loose today. Like, it has to be today. No ifs, ands, or buts. I have to get rid of him today, is what I was saying to myself. There's no way I can tolerate this a minute longer. So this was yesterday. So while I was at work, I said, hey, like, we need to talk when I get home from work. Are you going to be home? Are you going to be at my apartment, like, at home at 4? It's like, yeah. And I think he could sense, because I asked, I want to talk to him, which I really never said that before. I think he sensed that I was going to cut him loose. Said, I really don't want to meet inside the apartment. Can we meet in public? Like, yeah, sure. He said, yeah, just pick me up at Panera Bread. So I did. Went to Panera Bread, picked him up, and he had his bike, and he said, let's go somewhere away from here to talk this out. I said, okay. So we drove to a park nearby where I live, and we got out. And in the car, I laid out everything. Pretty much everything I told you guys, I laid it all out. I knew that this argument would go nowhere, but this was me ending everything. It would go nowhere. I explained to him his delusions, his paranoia, how it's becoming a problem, and of course he would admit anything. I asked him, like, you truly believe these lies are real, and you're accusing me of things I didn't do? Can you at least prove me wrong? All these lies, like, can you back them up with like anything? Like, because everything I say about you, if I make an accusation or an assertion, I will back it up with specific examples to prove it. Everything I will back it up with examples. You, on the other hand, cannot with anything. Like, I asked you, can you please explain to me how you and your family got me into this apartment? I'm really curious to hear your story behind that. I said, no, you don't deserve to know. Like, why do I not deserve to know? Because you don't work hard enough. I don't work hard enough? I'm working 40, 60,
You'd think
80
he'd want to
hours.
rub it in your face. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm working 40, 60, 80 hours a week. I don't work hard enough. And I asked him another question. Well, can you prove this? Like you said that you're Hitler's great grandson, and you not only that, you took
he
a
told
step.
you that too?
Yeah.
Why did he tell you that?
Oh my God.
Yeah, all sorts of paranoid lies. Well, do you have any? Well, he takes it a step further. Not only does he say this, but he says he has solid proof of the blood test. Show me the blood test. No. Any claim like, okay, you have millions of dollars in the bank. Can you open up your brokerage account app and show me the balance? Like, no, but you're saying I'm wrong. You can shut me up right now by proving that I'm wrong. You can shut me up right now. Just show me the proof, and I look like a fool. You want to prove me wrong? It's like you don't deserve any answers. All these questions you're asking me, that's you trying to control the situation. That's you trying to dominate over me. You asking me these questions, and I said, look, James, like, do you think that I'm delusional? And he said, yes. I'm like, yeah, I figured you would say that, James. If I told you that the mermaids in my bathtub are stalking me, would you think that I'm delusional, or would you believe it? Obviously, he would not believe that. And if I said, well, actually, I have solid proof that there's mermaids in my bathtub stalking me. I actually have video of it on my phone right here. Okay, well, show it to me. No, you don't deserve to see it. It's a waste of my time to show you this video. It's a total waste of my time. I don't have to show you anything. I don't have to do anything to prove anything to you. That's how he explains all of his lies. I don't have to prove anything to you. It's a waste of time. And he said, I can give you an answer, but you're not going to understand it. It's going to go way over your head. Well, I'm like, humor me anyways. Just tell me the answer. Just humor me anyways. And if I'm too dumb to understand the answer, then that's my problem. Just humor. Tell me the answer. It's like, no, it's a waste of my time. This is you gaslighting me. I'm like, I'm just trying to get simple answers because I want to understand what I did wrong. So I could see that this conversation is going nowhere. Thing is, if somebody's mentally ill or delusional, I don't know about all of them, most of them, you will never be able to convince them that they're mentally ill. You will never be able to convince them that they're delusional. You can spend hours and hours and they will never believe it. So I realized this is a waste of time. So I said, okay, I think we're going to part. I think we're going to part ways here. Can you give me my keys back? And then that's when he starts the threats. What I noticed about James is
more threats.
Yeah, so the threats he would say is like when I started, he realized I was going to leave, drive off. He said, if you leave right now, you're not going to be around tomorrow. And I'm like, is that a threat? He's like,
What?
And I said, no, I asked you a question. Is that a threat? I'm not going to say anything. Okay, so you're too chicken to stand behind your words. I said, first of all, I'm not intimidated by your threats. I'm not intimidated by your intimidation. You can try all these desperate tactics. The fact that you're resorting to threats, that's desperation on your part. It makes you look like a fool. And really, these don't work on me. I'm not intimidated by you. You can give all the threats you want. These threats are worthless garbage. It's in one ear, out the other. You can say it all you want. I don't care. First of all, I'm not afraid of you. Don't even waste your time with these threats. And he continued with threats. He said, if it weren't for me, you would be dead right now. I spent so much to have people
That's what
protect
he would tell
you.
Josh and Kate.
Yeah, everybody. He says he's protecting everybody from death. That all these assassins are out to get me, and he's paying people to protect me. And if I abandon him, I'm going to be dead.
Did he ever say like why the assassins would want to kill you?
Oh, I asked him that. And I asked him that. It's like, you don't need to know. You don't deserve to know. I don't owe you any answers. That was his response to everything. When I asked him for details, okay, explain that to me. Give me specifics. It's like, no, you don't need to know.
It's so vague.
Yeah, I can give you an answer, but you're not going to understand it. It's above your head. He'd always say that. He would always deflect, and that was his way of getting out of answering a question to prove his ridiculous lies. So he started threatening me, and he said, like, yeah, if you leave me here, then you're not going to be around. He said, you better watch your back. He said, if I were you, I would hire bodyguards. And I said, look, I don't need any bodyguards. First of all, if you ever threaten me, that is a crime. And I will file a criminal complaint if you do threaten me.
Blackmailing you is a crime itself.
Yeah, exactly. The thing
so
is,
Jimmy is a violent criminal.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, he's kind of smart, and then he knows not to give me a direct threat. Like, he's never said, if you leave me here, I'm going to kill you. He's smart enough to make it a veiled threat and a disguised threat, or really vague, kind of more like extortion than a threat. So he's smart enough because he's been through the justice system. He knows that he gives me a direct
You
threat.
still can't extort people.
Yeah.
Legally.
Oh no, that's extortion is legal too. Yeah. So he's smart enough to know not to say, if you leave me here, I'm going to kill you. He is smart enough to know not to take it that far, because he does know that'll land him in jail. And I think he thinks that I'm secretly recording every conversation. So if he does threaten me, I'm gonna have a recording on it. And so he is smart enough to not give me a direct threat. So he'd be like, I would get bodyguards if I were you. Like, I don't need any bodyguards. There's no assassin out to get me. This is your delusion, not mine. Yeah,
you're like trying to help this guy. You're so nice.
Yeah. But again, so I noticed that with James, whenever he's trying to get something, he'll try different tactics, and when that tactic doesn't work, he'll move on to the next one. Like for example, normally it'll start with intimidation. When intimidation doesn't work, he moves on to threats. When threats doesn't work, he moves on to sympathy. When sympathy doesn't work, he moves on to like extortion or blackmail.
To anger.
He switches from one tactic to the next to get what he wants. Like, he's used sympathy on me before. Like, first he'll get angry, then he'll threaten me, and then he'll turn on the waterworks and start crying. He's like, I've been through so much. You don't know what it's like to have been through so much trauma and really messed me up. You're literally the only friend I have left, and I can't lose you as a friend. I so desperately.
Yeah, he has to do it in that order.
Jimmy's the only one who's been through trauma.
Yeah, because if he does it, like if he started with the sympathy first, like he can use the sympathy as an excuse for all of his other previous behavior. So when he's threatening you and he's like intimidating you, he'd be like, I'm so sorry, that's not me. It's just because I'm in this situation. If you could help me, and like blah, blah, blah. He's manipulative. That's crazy.
Yeah. So he would try to play the sympathy card. He would start crying. He'd start crying like, you're the only friend I have left, and I can't lose you. All this trauma has messed me up. And then when that didn't work, he'd switch to the next tactic. It was all an act. And I told James, look, you have a huge superiority complex. Okay, in his mind, he says that he has like a 200 IQ, that he can graduate from Harvard without any studying. He has millions of dollars in the bank account, while me, on the other hand, I'm a loser. I'd be dead without him. I basically have nothing. So, but he's literally saying this as he's wearing my clothes and my underwear and eating my food and sleeping in my home. You're telling me that I'm a loser with nothing, and you can graduate Harvard, have a 200 IQ, and you're telling me this? Like, and you don't think this is delusional? Like, I don't know how many people you think are going to believe this. But yeah,
the hard way.
Yeah. So, and then he also threatened me. Like, this is the first time I've ever spoken about James on a public forum like this. The reason why I'm doing it is, number one, not to like stir up more hate about him. First of all, I want to tell people what happened, and soon, while this is still fresh in my mind, to know experience what I went through, that it was a huge mistake to help him. Also, because I want all these haters out there warned me about this, and I didn't really take it seriously. I want them to know that, again, they were right. I was wrong. I took a gamble and I lost. This was a huge waste of time. I deeply regret this. It was a big waste of my time. This guy is mentally sick. The thing is, when you think about all the terrible qualities in a person, he has all of them. He checks off all the boxes. He's racist. He's a pedophile. He's conniving. He's a narcissist. He's a liar.
Holy shit! Really? And you're the one who was like his number one supporter. This is insane.
It's literally every bad quality. He checks off all the boxes, and I don't really see any redeeming qualities in him. I'm sorry to say that's not the truth. And one of the last things he said to me as I was driving off was that you better not talk to any about this. You better be careful who you speak to. So he basically threatened me if I ever talk to you. I think he was referring to you guys specifically. That if I talk to you, I would pay the price. First of all, James, you're listening. I will talk to whoever I damn feel like talking to. Your threats don't work on me. And yes, I will do this again. Yes, I will speak exactly on my mind. And you're free to do the same about me. You can go on public forums and say all these terrible things about me. You can do that as much as you want. We both have that right. It's called freedom of speech. And no, you're not going to threaten me. And yes, I will talk to whoever I want. So when you're listening, he specifically threatened me that if I talk to you guys, that I pay the price. That's the last thing he said to me, if I talk to you guys. So I think he was worried. He was worried that I was going to do this, and this is the first time I've ever talked about him publicly. And so he threatened me if I did this. Well, he can threaten me all I want. I'm going to do whatever I want. So if you're listening, I'm telling you these threats don't work. I will talk to whoever I want to. So that's kind of the main reason that I wanted to kind of validate some of the haters. Maybe some of this, what they said was maybe a little bit, I don't know, embellished a little bit. Some of them were kind of just spreading a lot of hate, but also a lot of what they said was kind of warnings, and the stuff, a lot of stuff they said was true, and I should have paid more attention. I did give him the benefit of a doubt based on how I knew him in the past, but this time was totally different. It was
Steve,
totally.
let me ask you a question, because this is kind of disturbing. You really feel like he's like pedophilic?
Well, actually, no, maybe not pedophilic. He was. Well, I think he has a age for underage girls. Like
okay.
I know
that's
of him
strange.
sending nudes to underage girls. I think one of them they posted one of them that was censored.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you know that he did that?
Well, there was there were. Well, all I know of it they posted. I thought you would have seen this. It was a picture, a selfie, a nude selfie. He took himself. They blurred
the
out the
Snapchat of him in the shower. I've been posting that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. They said he said.
I thought it was like a recent one. I was like, oh
no,
my goodness.
No, but I mean, flirting with like underage girls. I know he's like a total creeper, and
I still
he's
have
like,
his jack off video.
Oh, really?
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh! Wow. So that's the main reason why I wanted to do this. I'm not. I don't want to get revenge on him. I'm not trying to make his life worse. I don't care about revenge. I hope that he can, if possible. I think this kind of be a lifelong habit for him, if possible, become like work on his mental health, become a normal member of society, work a job, make an honest living.
Do you see him ending up back in jail, Steve?
Yeah, I absolutely do see that. I hope I'm wrong, but absolutely, his behavior was just crazy. It was progressively worse. It was more violent and aggressive, and that's for me helping him. Can you imagine?
It scared you, basically.
Yeah, but I know James has the habit of biting the hand that feeds him. Basically, everybody who's ever helped him,
bridges.
with money and resources, he's turned against all of them. He says they're horrible people, that you can't trust them, that their enemies block them. Every person that helped him, he turns against all of them. He always bites the hands that feed him. But I mean, I was nice to him, helped him, and he treated him like this. Imagine if there was a bad person that actually did something to him. Imagine how he reacted. So yeah, I do see him going back to jail. Absolutely. Of course, I don't know if that's for sure. But like I said, I did not give up on our friendship easily, and it really was hard for me to do this. But the way it was going downhill so fast, I'm like, I cannot stand another minute of this. It's only a matter of time before he snaps. Maybe I'm wrong, and he won't attack me. But I sure as hell am not going to stick around to find out and test that theory.
Yeah,
I'm not a fool. Yeah. So that's why I had to cut this. So I am completely officially done with him. I will never be his friend.
Were you thinking about getting a restraining order or a protective order on him?
Well, yeah. So
you can't predict his crazy.
Yeah. See, I don't know if I have grounds to do that yet. I think he's smart enough. Like, I don't know if he's the really revenge type to like actually want to harm me. I think he's smart enough not to do something that's going to land him back in jail. Well, to a point. I don't think. Because first of all, I live in a gated complex, and you have to check in with a guard. You have to actually check in with the guard to get in. And so there's cameras everywhere, and he knows that. There's cameras pointed right where my apartment is, so it's pretty secure. They have a guard that just walks around. It's pretty safe. I don't think he's going to do any physical harm. I think if he would have, like when I actually did cut him loose, like he actually didn't really get that pissed off. Like the day before when he looked like he was ready to punch me, he didn't get that way yesterday. He was angry.
Now,
and
Steve, what happens if he slanders you or like says you try to rape him or something? Will that bother you?
If people believe it, yes. I think knowing him and people knowing how he is, if they don't believe it, no. I actually didn't really think about that. I don't know if he will, like if I try to rape him. I don't know if I should care.
I don't think you should care because no one is gonna believe that. Maybe like back in 2015 when he had kind of a following, but everyone knows that he's crazy now. And I am glad that you came like on a public space and discussed this because I want people like Josh to hear it. Other people who might think like,
Josh is so jealous right now.
Steve and Chris are bad guys and they're just haters and all this other stuff. It's like, no, like this is how he treats people in today's day and age because a lot of our haters, I guess you could say that we nitpick things, that we are like trapped in the past, that James is a changed man. And if it wasn't for us, he would be in the right place. And it's like, well, clearly not just based off of your experience with him.
Steve, 2 questions. Does he know who you're employed for? And do you know what applications, like jobs he was applying for?
Yeah, so he knows where I work. And not that it matters if he wants to make phone calls to my manager. He can do that all he wants. I've worked there for 23 years. Like all my coworkers know me very well. Yeah, that definitely wouldn't do anything. They'd see right through it. They'd see like, okay, this dude is out to get revenge on a fallout. They'd see right through it. It's not going to do anything. My managers know me. They trust me. They know the kind of person. He can make up all the lies he wants. And if he accuses me of doing something illegal, my manager would say, if there's an accusation he did something legal, that's for the police to handle. That's a criminal matter. You need to call the police, file a criminal complaint, bring your evidence to the police, and they will investigate it. We cannot get involved in a criminal complaint. That's what my managers would say to him. If he said, he raped me, you need to fire him. He's like, well, you have to call the police and file a report. And until then, we can't do anything. Not that they would actually believe him. So that part I am not worried about at all. He can call them. I don't care.
What if he tries to like contact your apartment place and try to say something?
He can do that too. I mean, he'd have to have proof of something. If he does that, I'm like, look, here's the guy who said this. I'll show them his arrest record, the news report, all these YouTube videos. Like, look, this is the guy.
Well, the thing is, in some places, you might get in trouble for apartment complexes. They don't like people who aren't on the lease staying.
Yeah, I'll be like, he was a visitor. He stayed for a week. I mean, we're allowed to have visitors. We're allowed to have visitors. Like, I don't think they would want him sleeping in my car. I don't know if that would have been a problem. I mean, nobody said anything to him when he was sleeping in my car. But I would just say, he was, he was a visitor staying with me for a week. I think that's fine. But whatever he tries to, I don't care.
Yeah, the only thing that worried me when you told me was that he was getting mail sent to your address. But if he's not on the lease or anything, and you said that you actually had friends that
even if you aren't on the lease, when you get mail sent to your address, he can claim squatters' rights.
Yeah, but he's out now. Like, he's like, if he was still in there and he was refusing to leave, maybe.
Like that crazy fuck. You remember that situation, Steve? That bitch tried to do that to me.
Yeah,
but she was in the place.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
That's all right. Yeah. So go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, and I hope it should be a problem. If he's listening to this, he's probably but yeah, I don't care. Like, I didn't even think about that. I didn't want to give him my address, but again, some of these forms, like, they don't accept PO boxes, and he had to use a California address. So this is the only way to get this done. It's the only way he can get his documents, and this is like the first thing he really needs to do. So I figured there's like really no other option. He can't use a PO box for some of this stuff. So that's why I did it. I just didn't think it through. I never imagined this would happen. Of course, if I knew it would go downhill so fast, I mean, no way would I have had any contact with him. But it started off fine, and then by the time I realized it was going downhill, I felt stuck. I can't get rid of this guy this easily. And in fact, he actually threatened me when he said, if this doesn't work out, I don't get to stay here. Like, I'm going to make sure that you lose this apartment and you're homeless. So he threatened me. So that's when I felt stuck. But again, this kind of crept up slowly to where I think he did this on purpose. This just kind of snuck up on me. Because like I told you, when I met up with him, I had no intention of letting him stay here. But then I told you the whole story of how it gradually happened. I'd never predicted that. I thought I'd just give him some help to get him on his feet. Also, I'm sure some people are wondering how much money I've spent on him total. The last few times I hung out with him in the years past, I didn't give him anything. The only thing I did is when we'd hung out, I'd pay for his meals, and it was kind of understood that he didn't have much money. So I paid for our meals, and it was only like a restaurant here or there. So it was almost nothing, just meals I paid for. Back then, he never, ever asked me for money. He never, ever asked me.
Did you get him the bike?
No. He didn't. I think Josh sent him the money. The bike was $30. It was kind of a junky. It was a junky bike. $30. No, Josh sent me the money on Cash App, and then I went to an ATM machine at the post office, and then we just gave the guy $30 cash for this bike. But yeah, it's a really kind of junky bike. So the last time I saw him, he never ever asked me for any money. Never asked me to buy him anything. So I only got a meal. So this time, since I recently started talking to him, and after he got out of jail, and he started hitting me up, I got him 2 nights of a hotel. I got him a few gift cards here and there, like IHOP, a Walmart gift card, so he can buy some food, like $10, $15 here and there. I paid for the fees for his driver's license, social security card, his birth certificate, $30, $40, $30. So
yeah, I actually thanked you for that because I know no one else is going to do that. He's not going to do that. And he uses that as an excuse as why people need to give him money because he doesn't have the proper documentation of blah, blah, blah. So I'm glad that he has it now. He can't use that excuse anymore.
Exactly. He doesn't have that excuse anymore. And he says he has a temporary one, so he can already start using it. So altogether, what I've spent on him total, at most, probably a little bit less than $400. That's the total of what I spent. And I don't make that much money, so $400 is still like a good chunk of money. But for anybody wondering, $400 is basically what I've spent on him, and that's the last I will ever spend on him, not one penny more. So James, if you're listening to this, I will never, don't even bother asking me to send you a gift card for food. Don't tell me you're starving. I will never give you another penny.
Steve,
I'm not going to hang out with you. Yes?
What's your opinion of Josh's relationship with Jimmy?
Do
you think like he keeps helping him?
Yeah, I think it's really unfortunate. I should have talked to Josh about this before, because James is obviously using him, Josh, if you're listening, and I feel bad because first of all, I don't know Josh in person. I've never met him in person, but I met him through James.
Josh is in the space right now with us.
Yeah, he's actually
I don't know if he's by his mic.
I mean, I think you mentioned at the beginning, so I know he's listening. I think he's manipulating him and controlling him. But and also James says horrible things about Josh, and I probably should have told Josh, but I didn't want to really burst his bubble or be the bearer of bad news, so I kind of withheld this from him. But this is my turn to tell you the truth, Josh, is that James says horrible things about you. First, he says that you're under a federal investigation and that you'll be going to prison very soon, and that James has done all this stuff to keep you out of prison, paying people to protect you, to keep you out of prison. And it was for, I think he said, pedophilia and maybe fraud. It was like 2 things. I know it was
he said that publicly about.
Yeah. Okay, he did. Yeah, I don't even watch his streams, but yeah. And so he said that, and he also said Josh is like an evil, horrible person. And James said, well, if Josh is stupid enough to send me money, then I'll take it. But the thing is, that's not the case, though. I think the case is James is trying to con Josh into giving money. Like, Josh doesn't want to give James any money, but he keeps giving him sob stories and, again, tactics, like intimidation tactics, saying, I'm going to die of starvation if I don't have some food to eat. So he's really playing the sympathy card. He starts using the intimidation, just like he did with me, all those different tactics. So I'm pretty sure Josh told me he said James just keeps asking for money over and over. And so Josh doesn't want to give James any money. And so, but James is conning him into it, really pressuring him, threatening him, using all these tactics. And meanwhile, James says to me, well, if Josh is stupid enough to give me money, I'll take it. But no, that's not the case. You're conning money out of him. He's not giving it to you. You're conning out of him. He totally changed the story.
Yeah, Josh shares some of his messages with us that are posted on my Twitter. And yeah, it's James always either threatening him or trying to make him feel sympathy or hitting on him. He'll be like, yo, what's up, Hugh, bro? Which is husband and bro mixed together or something. And he's
but why does Josh enable him by answering him?
Yeah, I mean,
Josh would have to answer that.
Yeah, you could say the same thing about me too. The thing about me, like when I'm telling you all this, first of all, I'm not playing a victim at all, and I don't want sympathy for anybody because I got out of this unscathed. I kind of wasted a little bit of my money.
Absolutely.
I wasted a lot of my time, but the thing is, ultimately, I take full responsibility for all of this. I brought this onto myself. I take full responsibility. I'm not saying I deserved it. I came in with the best intentions, and I have a kind
No,
heart.
you're a nice guy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, but no, I take full responsibility for what happened. I never thought that he would go downhill so fast and become so aggressive. Obviously, I didn't predict that. I never would have met up with him. So unfortunately, kind of the haters were right, and I should have really obeyed the warnings. But I really did listen to them, and I really did consider it. And I thought I was taking an acceptable risk by meeting up with him, and I did get a read on him first. And unfortunately, he kind of played it so that he gradually worked his way in, and then the paranoia and the accusations, all that came out once he was inside my home. So he kind of snuck in, infiltrated all this trouble after he
Black
gained my
Ops.
trust. That was very sneaky. So that's how he kind of sneaked his way in after he gained my trust. And that's why I would never trust him again. So to all the haters out there, and to James, if you're listening, I will never, ever give you another penny. The only thing I have to do is give you your mail, your important documents, because that's rightfully his. He needs it. It belongs to him. You've not paid for it. I will meet up with him in a public place, hand him the mail, and take off. I will message him when the mail comes. I will give him the mail and take off. I'm not going to have any other conversations with you. I will never be your friend. I will never meet up with you except the mail. I will never
You
give you
can be my
another
sugar
penny.
daddy, Steve, if you want. We'll make Josh jealous.
I know. Imagine. Yeah. So, unfortunately, I had to learn my lesson this way. I regret this. It was a huge, huge waste of time. I was hoping that this wasn't the case. I was hoping his mental health improved, but unfortunately, it got way worse. He is not the same person that I met, last time 4 years ago. His mental health has gone way downhill. His paranoia, his aggression, his unpredictability, it's gotten much worse. And
That's so
I've
sad.
gotten hard way. So yeah, I mean, if you have any you have any questions, or any questions about James, or questions about me, or why I did what I did.
Yeah, guys, feel free to ask, or I don't really do random calls in anymore. I was
Any
in like some
questions
other
from the
Twitter
audience?
spaces. I was into other Twitter spaces the other day, just getting a gauge for people. I'll never let that Jeff guy up here ever in my life.
Gosh.
But everyone else is all right. I know that people wanted to know, because James, back in the day when he was staying with you, and then he was at the house that he called the mansion, he was like rocking a green Toyota, and people were wondering like whose car was that, because they don't think it was James. Was that like your dad's car?
Oh no! Actually, it really was his. People thought it was all
Really?
fake. What happened was my husband, he had a Brazilian friend, Bruno, who came to Brazil to just be a tourist here, and he stayed with us for pretty much the whole summer. So
yes, you tried to get him deported.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Whoa.
But I mean, my husband came here undocumented, illegally, but he became a permanent resident. I got him a green card. So he was a legal resident. So he can't get him deported because he's now a legal resident.
Right.
And even California is very welcoming of undocumented immigrants. They don't deport you unless you're convicted of a felony. Other than that, they pretty much leave you alone. But so his Brazilian friend Bruno came, and he decided he wanted to start working, even though when you're here as a tourist, you're not really allowed to work, but he needed some money. So he wanted to do deliveries. So Bruno wanted to buy a car, and he did. We looked it up in the Auto Trader, and it was like this junky green, like old, like 1994 Toyota Camry. So Bruno bought it. It was like $2,500. So Bruno was using this green Toyota for a while. After the summer, Bruno went back to Brazil, and he asked me, "Hey, can you sell this car for me and just send me the money?" And then, okay, so right around the time Bruno was selling this car, James happened to need a car. He said, "I'll buy that car from Bruno." And he said, "Okay." So I don't know where James got the money, $2,500. Actually, he paid a little bit less because at that time the car started having problems. I think he paid $2,000 for it, less than that. And so no, he bought it, and I actually went to a tag and title business, and we did the change of title, and we changed his name, put his car on the title, and it was James's. And I have all the documents. So now that really was James for a short period of time. He had the passenger seat taken out, so he actually could lay flat with like a sleeping bag. He could actually lay completely flat on the ground, so he could actually live in the car. So now that green Toyota Camry was James's. And then after James took off because he had a falling out with my husband and he left, James left the car with me, and then I had to sell it again. I had to list it again, and I found somebody who bought it. But yeah, so that's the story.
Do you still talk to your husband? Like, is he around?
Oh yeah, yeah, he's around. In fact, I'm going to see him tomorrow. No, Friday.
Does he know about Jimmy again?
Oh no.
Don't tell him.
Know at all. No. I mean, I don't. I actually don't mind. I'll tell him this whole story. I don't care because it's over with. In fact, I
would
actually
love to be the fly on that wall.
Yeah, no, but I did show him the video of the news clip of his arrest. I did show, and he's like, "Oh my God, thank you." He was so happy when he saw that news. So happy, he was so excited.
Yeah. Right, because I do know a lot of people want to know like your side of that whole situation as well. When they had that big fight, and he accused him of hitting Kate and saying a whole bunch of other crazy stuff.
Yeah, so that incident, it's an interesting story. So I was not home when it happened, but James called me when this argument went down. So first, Fernando liked Jim and Kate. He said they look like nice people, and he'd set up like the living room for them to sleep in, and in the garage. They slept in the garage too, and he would make food for them. And then he heard, I don't know if somebody sent him a message warning him that James is dangerous and that he has a bipolar personality disorder. And then my husband thought, oh my God, he's crazy. He can't stay here. And I told him, look, like James is trying to be an advocate for people who suffer from this illness. Just because he has this illness does not mean he deserves to have no friends. He's trying to be an advocate for this. And I try to explain to him he's not dangerous, because at that time he was acting normal at that time. And he said, I don't like these people. They're weird. So my husband, Fernando, got a deep mistrust of them. And I try to stay out of it. And then so what happened was Kate, they started to do like YouTube videos, like cooking videos, to try to get YouTube revenue. So James asked me, hey, can we film like a cooking video in your kitchen? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I was not home. Kate would do these cooking videos, how to cook chicken breast, this and that, post it. And then my husband, Fernando, he can sometimes be very difficult. He said, I don't want them filming any videos in the kitchen. I'm like, well, why? I just don't. Like, well, give me a good reason. He just didn't like them and was kind of making things difficult on purpose. And I didn't like that. And said, look, it's my condo too. It's like, I own this condo. I already gave them permission, not hurting anybody. They're just making a YouTube video, big deal. And he really just didn't want them around anymore. And I could kind of understand why. So while I was at work, James called me. He's like, hey, Fernando is going nuts on us. Like, he just threatened us. We were doing this YouTube video, and he's like yelling at us, telling us to leave. And in the background, I hear Fernando yelling. And I thought, like, Fernando, you really shouldn't be yelling at them, because if I had an argument with one of your friends, I wouldn't yell at them. I would never yell at them. Like, they weren't really doing anything wrong. They were just filming a cooking video. And James, actually, to James's credit, he actually handled it well, because I could hear Fernando like yelling, and James was not yelling. He was staying calm and collected. So I actually kind of
on the phone with you, at least, right? Because we don't know like what escalated to it. At least like you just know James's side of it, and I guess Fernando's.
I mean, Fernando never said that James got aggressive or yelled at him that I remember. But I actually think James kind of handled it very well. And James actually took the high road. He could have refused to leave. He said, okay, look, we don't feel safe here. We're going to leave. So he actually did take the high road and walked away and left, because I did not think he was going to leave easily, because I gave him permission to stay. So James actually handled it kind of well. He did, that same day, he did post this kind of nasty post about Fernando, about what he did to him. But then James, like, he had a conscience, and he felt kind of guilty about making a post about Fernando. But the reason why he did that post is if he didn't, people were going to think that I kicked James out, So he did this to show the haters that, no, I didn't kick him out. He had this altercation with Fernando. So that's why he did the Instagram post. But James felt guilty, like he had a conscience about it. So in less than 24 hours, I didn't even ask him to. He did it on his own. He deleted that post. So he did the right thing. So to James'
he did the
did he feel embarrassed?
He did a live stream though that same day as well, where he said he was trying to deport Fernando. He was like, "I'm looking on how to get him deported because he's
that obviously that I got upset about. There was no excuse for that. He started
okay. I didn't know if you knew if he did.
Oh yeah, I knew about that, and I told him, look, James, he's a legal resident, and even back when he was undocumented, California does not deport people unless they're convicted of a felony. California is like a safe haven for big time racist, but yeah, California, we're like a haven for undocumented immigrants. So that obviously I was upset about. There was no excuse like trying to deport him. And first of all, he can't. He's a legal resident unless he really committed a crime. So, but to James's credit, up to that point, he actually handled that pretty well, and he did leave on his own free will. He didn't refuse to leave. He didn't say, no, I'm staying here because Steve gave me permission. So he actually handled it pretty well. So that's the story of what happened with that altercation. And I really think Fernando kind of lost his temper. And really, Jim and Kate didn't do anything wrong. They were just filming a YouTube video, minding their own business, and they cleaned up after themselves. And just Fernando just wanted to give them trouble and just Fernando was kind of freaked out when somebody told him, like, this guy he mentioned that he has like a bipolar personality disorder, and from that he had a deep mistrust. So that's the whole story of how that happened. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know too much about that time. I wasn't like paying attention to him back then. I've just seen like past streams and stuff. I don't know like what led up to it. Obviously, like there must have been some tension beforehand, right?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you say that they're just doing like the cooking videos and stuff.
Yeah.
And that he was more like mistrusting of his personality. So he didn't do like anything else that like upset him.
No, like he just said, like, I told him like they asked me if they can do cooking videos, and I told them yes. I can't really change that. They're not doing anything wrong. It's like, why do you not want them making cooking videos on YouTube? Like, why? He's like, I just don't want to. I don't like it. Like, well, can you give me a reason why? He wouldn't tell me. I think he was just being intentionally difficult, just because he just wanted them gone. He just didn't want to see them. But the thing is, like, Jim and Kate, they actually treated Fernando very well. Obviously, when this whole thing went down, like, James threatened to deport him. Obviously, there's no excuse for that. But before that, James was really nice to him.
James had no choice but to be respectful. He was living under your guys' roof.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that's how that happened. I think James actually handled it pretty well, besides like the threat he made about the deportation thing afterwards. And he did take down that Instagram post because he did feel guilty. He did the right thing. He walked away from the situation. He left, which I did not think he would leave easily, because he was planning on staying there long term, living in my garage. I thought it was going to be months or longer. Yeah.
Well, I guess that would be kind of another reason why you would be more inclined to give him a second chance like this time around, because of how he handled, I guess, that situation as well. Like, there was an altercation. He left kind of on his own accord. So, if he came in, it wouldn't be that hard to get him at this time, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's the story of that. So
Michael Conger is raising his hand. Do you have a question for Steve, Mike?
Well, I just want to know, you said he was in your house around your computer and everything. He never got on any of your devices, did he?
Oh, no way. I would not trust him. Like, you have to put in a password. No.
Okay.
I would never.
Because before he's been around people and got on their devices and gotten in their iClouds and everything, and blocked people and done all kinds of stuff. So that was when you said he was in your house, you're on your computer, and he was standing behind you. That was my concern, was he might have gotten some of your information or something he could run with. So.
Yeah.
That's a good question, Michael. I wasn't even thinking of that.
Michael, like, I've obviously known of you for years. I've never actually spoken to you, but I've seen your posts and everything about James. Like, are you aware of, like, the accusations he's made about you? Because he's told me, like, I'm sure they're lies about you.
The thing about me is Chris knows places I've worked, and some of the places I've worked, I wouldn't be able to work if I had some of the accusations he's put out on me. So, because I've been through some big background checks to do those jobs, and it's nothing but lies. And I'm gonna be in California in a few weeks, and I hope I can reach out to you and buy you dinner. What, Jesus Christ? And actually,
Jesus.
and maybe buy you dinner while I'm there. I think it's amazing how you come and explain how he really is. And but I think it's great that you caught it early this time and not having to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you deserve a nice dinner somewhere, buddy.
Oh, thank you. And so do you. I really appreciate it. I wish I paid closer attention. Again, the haters, I never said that you guys are crazy. James is an angel. Of course not. I did read your stuff. I did think about it. I did realize a lot of stuff you're saying was true. Maybe some of the people who are very overzealous, maybe not 100%. But unfortunately, I did not really fully consider his warning. Based on the James that I knew and based on how he treated me in the past, he was a good friend. I had really no reason to cut off our friendship. And I always wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I really appreciate what you did. And I just want to make more people aware of how he is.
Steve, have you ever thought about letting Josh living in your garage?
My Josh? Yeah, if you, I don't have a garage anymore. I had a car. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
There you go, Josh.
Yeah, so yeah, it's terrible, like what he's done to not just me, but he leaves like a destructive path everywhere he goes.
He's like a hurricane. He's like a Category 5 hurricane. I mean, he just knocks it all out. And
he hangs out with Steve for like 3 days, and Steve's traumatized for life.
Exactly. But hey, just to put this on the record for all of you to hear, if I mysteriously go missing, y'all know why. Look for James Saroka if I go missing.
Well, okay.
I just want everyone to know
that.
Steve, can I ask you something personal, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you still with Fernando?
No. We got divorced over a year ago.
Because he's with somebody else, right? Are you guys seeing somebody else?
No, he actually ended up having an affair with somebody.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like this whole time I felt... yeah, but actually, surprisingly, I actually forgave him because they're not even together anymore. And actually, Friday is going to be the first time I've seen Fernando since our divorce. I kind of want to make amends. Yeah, so that was unfortunate.
I'm sorry. That's horrible.
Yeah, but no, it happens. It happens for a reason. Thing is, I used that time to work on myself. I went through depression. Right as I filed for divorce, I was at the courthouse. I filed the final divorce documents, and as soon as I pulled out of the courthouse, I got into a huge car accident. I was in the hospital.
Oh shit!
I was injured.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that literally happened. That was like the worst time of my life. But I turned
Jimmy
my life
wasn't
around.
there for you during all that, right?
Yeah, I know.
Point.
Right? Yeah. So, but James says he helped me through all the problems in my life. Like, no, you did. He takes credit for everything. Like I said, I turned my life around. I was like,
right.
Are you the guy? Are you the guy that was in the mall with him last week?
Yeah, I was.
All right.
Yeah,
no,
that's where I first met up with him.
One of my daughters went to California, and her and a little group of our friends are following him. They're into anime and stuff, and and they were messaging back and forth with him, and they were going to be at the mall, and they got there, and my daughter sent him a message, and she's like, "Well, we're here at the mall." He's like, "Wait, who's we?" And she's like, "Well, me and a couple of my friends." And he's like, "No, I was only supposed to meet you." And she's like, "Well, I don't meet strangers right off the bat when I'm by myself." And they were watching him from an area, and he quickly got up and started talking to some guy, and they walked out of the mall together.
Wow.
Conger, can you stop having your daughter follow Saroka around? It really makes... I don't think we should do that.
Well, they were just watching him for...
I like how Maya's the voice of reason here.
No, I'm serious.
But yeah, because they wouldn't know who he was. She had never really heard of him, so I told her to start watching him.
Yeah, stop telling her.
And well, no, she's following his ass now. So, but yeah, she said he got up.
Conger wants some mold.
She said he got up really quickly and was walking around, and some guy walked up. And they started talking and left together. I said, "Well, I don't know who that would have been, unless he just met somebody." But okay, that explains that then. So.
Conger, Maya says if you don't stop using your kid.
No, I'm serious. Like, what? Oh, God forbid. What if fucking Jimmy snaps? Or, like, thinks she's younger than she is. Like, I
What
don't
my
know.
what
Like,
my
there's
what my daughter does for a living, she hopes he does.
Yeah, if you don't stop, Conger, we're telling Lynn.
Who's Lynn?
They had a big fight this morning.
Oh my goodness. But you're not getting her to like wiretap his conversations
No.
or take pictures of them or anything. Like they were just
even just having her
immediately in the
fall
same
into
place
the
at the same
mall.
time,
Like,
and she
what
was
the
messaging
fuck?
you
Well,
about
no,
it.
her and her friends were out, and they had started talking to him. I didn't know this till later. They had started talking to him on Bigo, and they were talking to him, and they were like, "Okay, let's just actually, go see what this guy's about." And they were actually going to buy him lunch. And she said when he said something about her not being alone, why should I be alone? I've never met you before, and then they were watching him, and then some guy he stood up like looking around, and some guy walked up. He left them all with him. So I guess that was Steve that got there, and they left together. So that kind of explains it.
But you as a father, this guy, what you just heard Steve mention that he was
it's probably Conger
that he thought
typing.
underage girls were cute. You know what he did to
My daughter,
his pregnant
my
ex.
daughter's 20.
What you as a father need to be
my daughter's 29 years old. She can do what she wants.
And it's probably Conger typing
Still,
for.
I don't give a shit if she's 40 years old. That's your daughter.
You should be protecting her.
Well,
yeah,
like I said, I didn't know she did this until afterward. So
yeah, but she knows of Saroka because of you. You introduced her to the Saroka-verse.
Well, it's her life, and she knows what she's doing. So
Conger's got this under control.
Welcome to the other side of the track, Steve, where you everything super professionally, obviously.
Yeah.
The fuck?
But anyway, so after I left James, I figured, okay, he's going to immediately act like we're best friends again. I officially cut him off permanently, and I made that obvious. I bet he's going to start like we're best friends again, and he's probably going to be hanging out in the area, think that I'm going to feel sorry for him and take him back at any minute. And there was just a smidge, tiny part of me that feels a little bit of bad that he lost the only friend he has left. He knows nobody here. He has no money. He has no belongings. He has no place to stay. He literally has nothing. Like, where the hell is he gonna go? But he'll make it on his own somehow. So a tiny bit of me felt a little bit sad that I basically just kicked him to the curb. He's all on his own. But again, he did this to himself. I can't feel any responsibility for that part. But I know he's probably gonna be hanging around in the area, thinking that I'm ready to take him back in at any minute. Probably gonna be kissing up to me, acting like we're best friends. He went through Josh and said, "Tell Steve that like I'm not the devil." I mean, I never claimed he was a devil. I never called people anything like that. And then he texts as soon as I cut him loose for good, and I drove off, and he threatened me. Right away, he texts me and says, "Hey, all of those clothes I wore of yours, can I have them?" And I said, "Well, first of all, I don't want to meet up with you again until I give you your mail. All those clothes I went through, like those are new clothes that I bought for myself because I lost weight and my other clothes don't fit me." You
don't want them back?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, I washed them, but I don't want to meet up with you.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah,
you don't have to answer this, but the underwear he was wearing, was that yours or was that his?
It was my underwear, but I just happened to have No, I happen to have an unopened package of 3 pairs of Reebok. No, they were Reebok Reebok boxer briefs that I just happened to have
I know they're boxers.
Yeah, so I obviously I don't want those back underwear. So literally, only thing he had was my clothes that he was wearing. But he's already asking me for stuff, and like I said I'll keep an open line of communication to you only for the purpose of giving you your documents. I don't want to have any other conversation. Do not ever ask me for money or anything. I'm not going to even respond, but I do have to keep an open line of communication. I just do want to get him his mail, and I hope he does a change of address, or if there's some way I can block it after he gets that stuff. I don't want any more of his mail sent to me. I don't have to keep meeting up with him. I'll mail his mail somewhere else. I can forward his mail another place. I don't know when he's going to actually have an actual place to live. If I can mail it to a homeless shelter.
2025, probably.
Yeah, you're probably right. I have no idea where he's going to go next. He doesn't know anybody here, but I imagine that he's probably thinking, I'm going to give him some cool off time, and he's going to forgive me. I'm sure he's going to be extra pissed off when he knows that I'm talking about him publicly, because he basically threatened me if I do this.
He's going to send the Taliban on.
Yeah, the assassins, and I'm not going to be here tomorrow, but yeah, whatever. So yeah, he might try to attempt to like act like we're best friends again. Oh hell no, there is no chance. I can promise all of you guys, I will swear on my life to all you haters that I will never ever have any association with James Saroka other than meeting
we're
up.
not haters, Steve. We actually accept you here. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know why.
yeah,
Yeah.
you do. I mean, some of them were really harassing me, kind of intimidating me to helping
Sorry,
him.
there's a lot of weirdos out there.
Yeah, I
They
yeah,
harass Josh too. Yeah.
yeah, they do, and I realize, yeah, but it didn't get too bad. So I just want to say it on the record that I will never have any association. I will never send him a penny. I will never stay with him, like be in the same room with him, other than I'll pull up in my car, hand the envelopes out the window, and drive off. That is it.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I'd rather just prefer to like forward his mail somewhere else, if possible. If he does get an actual place to live,
Forward it to the nearest county jail.
Yeah.
Well, he could even get a PO box to have it forwarded to. It was just like he needed an actual address for the license and stuff. But then after that, like you just forward it to his PO box.
PO box.
Yeah,
monthly.
I would even pay for his PO box at this point, just so Steve can be free of him. You know what I mean? And then,
like, he doesn't have an excuse to send mail anywhere to squad.
Yeah,
I think Steve needs to figure it out.
Honestly, Steve, you could just drop his mail off at the PO box. You don't even have to meet up with him.
Well, he has to have a PO box first. That's what.
Oh, he does. Oh, I
he
thought
doesn't have
he had a PO box. Sorry.
But I'm saying, like, that's
Steve, if you write on the mail ANK, then they'll just take it and kill it.
Yeah,
ANK?
that's true.
ANK means address the unknown.
Yeah. Okay. But I do know for a lot of some of those documents and applications, they don't accept a PO box. Like he had to use a real address. They didn't. A lot of them, you can't use a PO box. So that's why I really felt like the only option was to let him use my address. Like, fortunately, now it's a mistake. Now I'm kind of stuck with it. But I mean, it's not a big deal if I have to. He's in a restaurant, a Panera Bread. I'll pull up. I have to pull the documents
He'll always
out.
be at either Panera or Starbucks. Like, that's
exactly. Yeah.
Places right now.
Until they trespass him again, they ban him from every Panera Bread. They ban him from every Starbucks. Something else is going to happen. Like
Steve,
I said,
I'm officially done. Meanwhile, Soroka's main USPS address is Steve's apartment.
I know, really. But I mean, based on how he was behaving in public, like he literally had a problem with everybody anywhere he went. I imagine he's going to stir up trouble at these businesses, and it's only a matter of time before every business trespasses him. And in a chain restaurant, I believe when they trespass you at one location,
solicitation,
you're banned from every location, I believe.
Yeah,
at chain places. Yeah. So I think one by one, like he's going to do something weird, sketchy. They're going to say he's loitering. Like, no, you can't stay in here morning till night every day. And he's the type, he's going to get very argumentative. He tried to get argumentative with the people at another Planet Fitness we went to. He was going to start arguing with me, like, dude, please don't cause trouble. I don't want, because they know me here and I don't want them to get a bad impression of me. Like, why'd you bring in this crazy loser who yelled at us? Like, please don't say anything.
He brings in the crazy ones.
Yeah, exactly. So he's very argumentative. Like, he's kind of like,
your first buddy pass and he just
loses it. Yeah, so
Steve,
he's very
argumentative. Got you yet?
Hope not. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
he's threatened Starbucks workers to get them. That's why.
Yeah, he was.
Oh my gosh,
he was threatened or kicked out of a couple Starbucks because he went on live stream one morning and he was saying that he was going to buy a gun. He knows the CEO of Starbucks, and that since he knows him, it's private property. He's going to be able to shoot people and animals and get away with it legally. And it made like people go like, "What the heck are you talking about, James Saroka?" And then he tried to say it was a deep fake, and then it was a whole bunch of he was being framed. But no, he also tried to start a race war in his like new time back. He's been like on one. It's crazy.
Yeah, now that does remind me. I remember he did tell me I can legally shoot people because I have an arrangement with the feds to where I can legally shoot people. Like not in self-defense, just if he deems that they deserve to die, he can legally shoot somebody. Not even in self-defense, he can legally kill people if he wants. He has an arrangement with the feds. I do remember he told me that. One of his many, many delusions. I'm sure there's many more.
If you don't answer your text, I'm gonna go crazy.
What was that?
Nothing.
So when you first met up with him, What clothes did he have on? Because you said like the only clothes he has on is your clothes. Was the clothes he had like that worn out that he just like threw them out? Or...
No, they actually look pretty normal. But he's obviously, when he first came in, he smelled really bad, like really bad BO. But it's kind of expected. Right. He was homeless, didn't shower in who knows how long, so he smelled really bad. It was like a white shirt with like black graphics on it, and these shorts. I don't remember what the shorts looked like. But when we got to my place that night, he asked for a change of clothes. That's when I brought him a freshly washed outfit of mine, and he changed in the back seat. And then he didn't have any underwear on. He came with no underwear, and I happened to have a package of new underwear. And so he changed. And then I thought he was going to ask me to launder his clothes for him, but he just threw it out. And I asked, "Well, are you sure? Because eventually you're going to need to change back to this. Are you sure you want to throw it away, or are you just going to buy new clothes?" Like, yeah, I don't want those clothes. A hooker gave it to me. And so he just threw it in.
I was going to say those
were the traveling nurse.
Yeah, he has not changed or showered since the traveling nurse in Texas. That's insane to me. Oh my gosh. He must have smelled
That's
really
been
bad.
like what, like 2 weeks, Steve?
Yeah, I think over 2 weeks.
So again, when you have a homeless person sleeping in your car, I should have known that my car is going to stink like body odor, and that smell is still there. So it's embarrassing. So when I go out on a date, my friends are going to get into my car, and it stinks like body odor, and they're going to automatically assume that it's my body odor.
Oh, you need to disinfect that whole car. Oh,
yeah, I need
to get some Febreze, get those little trees that hang off of the rear view.
Yeah, get
sterilize it.
Yeah, I need to just drown it in Lysol. It stinks like body odor. But yeah, it's again like a homeless person living in your car, sleeping in there. Yeah, I should have expected that would happen. But obviously he did shower. Like when he met up with me, he showered in my apartment. He didn't shower at Planet Fitness because, again, we had to leave right away. I thought he was going to use Planet Fitness as shower. But yeah, he did shower, and then he went into the pool, and I guess kind of.
What did he do for 2 hours in there? Ugh.
That's what I was just about to ask, because he was in the changing room for 2 hours.
Yeah,
the showers are in the changing room, right?
Yeah, Yeah, exactly.
And he didn't shower. He just sat there?
Just sat there, and I guess used their free Wi-Fi, I'm guessing. I have no idea what the hell he did in there for 2 hours. But again, at that point, I was so over it. I didn't even
play Call of Duty.
Yeah, maybe.
Steve, can I ask you a question? Did he tell you anything about that girl he stayed with in Texas?
Other than that she was the hooker?
Like, he didn't tell you anything about that?
No, he actually, I asked him, he's kind of secretive with me about what he's been doing, but like the past few months. Like, he never told me about, like I should have told you that, the James I saw on this recent live stream, he looks like a total douche. He looks like an entitled, cocky douche.
He looks like a rapist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that too. And
I don't know about rapist, but yeah, douche.
Yeah, so... Yeah, just a total dirtbag. And so when I met up with him, I figured, okay, that doesn't seem like the James I know. My theory was that, okay, I think he's playing up this persona for the live stream, for his notoriety, and maybe to get an audience. Because if I had streamed myself talking, nobody would watch. I'd be like the most boring person to watch a live stream on. But when he has that attitude, he knows that it kind of, he plays up this persona. So I thought, okay, maybe he's just playing this up and he's not that way in real life. And so when I met up with him, he wasn't saying all this douchey, crazy stuff. He wasn't saying, I'm looking for sugar daddies, I'm looking for sugar mommies. Why work when somebody pays for all my stuff? He never said anything like that. So I know he knows when to turn it off. So I asked him, like, when I first met up with him, I asked him, like, so how did you get here? Like, I know you were in Texas earlier. Did you take the Greyhound? He's like, I don't really want to talk about that. I'd rather just leave all that behind. Like, okay. So he didn't want to talk about what happened. I mean, he did mention he was with like a hooker that was a nurse. He did bring that up, but he wouldn't tell me specifically how he got from Texas to LA. I'm assuming it was a Greyhound. But again, he didn't bring up the whole assault thing right away. He did bring that up later. I was careful not to bring this stuff up unless he brought it up. I didn't ask him, so what was like being in prison? Did you really hit Kate? I avoided that whole thing. I didn't want to bring up any problems of the past unless he brought it up first, which he did. He said, this was
really.
It was just.
I'll be on later. It was nice talking to you, Steve. I'm sorry you had to go through this. Sorry for cutting you off again.
No trouble at all. It's good talking to you.
Yeah, I'll forgive you a follow.
Yeah, and so.
Sorry, you're saying?
Yeah, he said, that was just a summary. It was just a summary offense misdemeanor. And something like how he had to do it. He said that they were planning on putting him. they were planning on framing him and putting in jail weeks and weeks before they even made an arrest. So he said he knew for like weeks and weeks before that they were going to arrest and put him in jail before this assault even happened. So he brought that up. And he was talking about how he made all these friends. He said this is actually a good thing for him. Like, I'm sure you heard this before, that all the cops were looking out for him, and he formed all these alliances, and this is like the best thing that happened to him. And
so you haven't heard about the government black site that he tells everyone else about, where he's a government project and he never went to jail?
No.
It's all off the record. Yeah,
no,
that's what he tells us.
Really? I never heard about that. No, it's the first I've heard of it. Yeah. So he didn't really tell me a whole lot about the last few months, and I didn't want to ask. He brought up a few things here and there. And he did talk about Kate a lot and his son. And I was a little bit sympathetic to him because I can imagine it must be extremely painful to lose your wife and lose custody of your son. Obviously, he deserved it. Obviously, that's the best thing.
Well, technically, he didn't lose custody of the son. He gave up his rights so he doesn't pay child support.
Oh, wow. But yeah, he said he does want
a guy.
Yeah. So I understand the trauma he went through because it is very painful from his end. Obviously, he deserved it. Obviously, he has to be kept away from them. But from his perspective, I imagine it is painful to not be able to see your son, to lose your wife, because he sounds like he does want Kate back. He was kind of flip-flopping back and forth.
Deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely not. He doesn't deserve it. So I did feel a little bit of sympathy, and I did want to be a good listener, and because he is going through a lot of pain, a lot of trauma.
Steve, do you know what address is on his ID or no?
His what?
Do you know what address?
Oh, that's a good question. Like I imagine if he's getting if he's living here, he has to get a California driver's license, and you can't have a PO box on a California driver's license. So I imagine it would have to have my address, and that's something that, oh crap, like his driver's license would have my address. So if he ever gets like a violation, a moving violation, or everything's automatically his DMV renewal, all his registration forms, if he buys a car, like all that stuff is going to keep coming to me. So I believe like his.
You gotta forward it.
Yeah, Social Security number doesn't have address. Birth certificate, like, not gonna have my current address. So I think I only have to worry about if he gets a California driver's license, it would have to have my address. I didn't even really think about that till later.
And that's why I was glad when you said that you had like friends in law enforcement, because like he could just show his driver's license to Joe Blow Cop and be like, "This guy isn't letting me into my house. Like, this is my address."
You put your address
be like, "All right,
on his license."
Steve's address on his license.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything I can do at this point.
So
if anything I can do to stop that,
he gets sent back to your house.
I hope not.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that, Chris. Well, yeah, you might want to look into that. I guess with the DMV, maybe
change that. Yeah.
But I think he would have to change it though.
Yeah,
I don't think I can't change somebody else's driver's license info.
Right.
Yeah.
That's you can claim that as fraudulent because you didn't agree or give him permission.
Yeah.
Get the post.
I mean, what if there was like, what if there was a celebrity that had a $40 billion mansion and I changed my address to their address? I'm like, look, here's proof that I live in this mansion. Here's proof I live in this mansion and my address is on it. I think it has to be something. They have to have a little bit more, something like that. If anything, it would have to be resolved in court. Like if there was a dispute that he actually lived here, it would have to be resolved in court, I believe.
Well, you hold all the power, right? So if all the mail's getting sent to you, you could technically just not give it to him, and then he wouldn't have anything that would say your address on it. But at the same time, like, he needs his ID, right?
If
like,
I don't think he can open it.
Well, he can't open it, but it would be pretty easy to tell what's the driver's license.
You can kill the mail and get it sent back.
One could conveniently get lost, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'd be like, look, only these two came.
No, if the mail has his name on it but the wrong address, you can kill it. It's not his address. That's totally legal. You can send it back or throw it away.
Yeah. I can be like, James Saroka don't live here. Bam.
Yeah, I could just put return to sender. No such recipient at this address. Yeah.
Address the unknown.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's good. Yeah. I didn't even think about these things. It's just like, oh my goodness.
It got lost in the mail.
Hey, Phil. How you doing tonight?
It got lost in the mail.
Right. Can Phil hear me? Phil.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can, because it got lost in the mail.
I'm gonna take a shower real quick, Steve. I'll be gone for like a minute.
All right.
Hold the fort down for me, and if I'm not back in 10 minutes, call the police.
We'd like to hold the fort
Call
down
the
for
Jimmy.
you, Chris, but unfortunately, it got lost in the mail.
But how you doing, Phil? Do you have any questions for Mr. Kelso?
Yeah,
I mean, Kelso don't have all night. He doesn't even want to be here, but he's gracing us with his presence. Right
yeah, no, I was sitting back, thinking about a couple of things, about some of the things that I saw back in the day, some of the scopes that I have right now, and even back in 2017. And so the first thing off the top of my head, of course, has to be that it was lost in the mail.
He just really wants to stress that point.
I think that everybody gets where I'm coming from here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But you were around back in the day as well, like you were just saying. Do you have any questions for because I came in like 2020-ish, right? So I wouldn't even know what questions to ask him.
Yeah, we know what's going on. The guy, we didn't know back then, and it's certainly gotten worse. But there's a mental situation here, man, and this is unhealthy for anybody to be involved in. And Jimmy, or whatever the fuck he goes by now, has got to walk in somewhere and say, look, I'm not well. And immediately just follow that with Google my name and come see me in 10 minutes. And they'll put him on a path to something.
Yeah, but he needs to want to get help for himself first. He's in denial. He thinks he's working at 100% capacity. Everyone else is going crazy.
Yeah.
Which is scary.
Well, that's where, we're going to sit here and we're going to, it's unbelievable, the train wreck. It's unfucking real, the train wreck. I mean, this is never in human history. So we'll watch. But I mean, I'm just right here saying two things. Number one, it was lost in the mail. And number two, he needs to go walk in somewhere and just say, hey, I'm not well. And take it from there. This is above and beyond. Hey, Steve sounds like a nice guy. Try to help him out for the third, fourth, fifth time or whatever. This is above and beyond. Dr. Phil would probably go into like some type of
Dr. Phil Broom.
Conniption. Yeah, Dr. Phil, if he ever had Jimmy on, would like pass out.
He would need like a Netflix series. He couldn't do it in one episode. He would need to like have a whole thing dedicated to him, a whole season dedicated to James.
They'd have to. Jimmy needs his own AI. He needs his own artificial intelligence to run whatever matrix of a brain that is. It's so above our fucking pay grade, man.
Absolutely. But I can give you like
I
can give you a little bit of background about how I first originally met him, how this first started. Like in 2017, I downloaded Periscope, and I was just randomly browsing just random Periscopes. I didn't follow anybody. And I just clicked on one that was in South Carolina, a scope.
Who's that cute blue-eyed boy?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And I remember the exact first broadcast I watched. It was called "What Should I Do While I'm in Hilton Head?" And I clicked on it. It was him live streaming. So he was running this whole feet piece thing. So he was traveling the world on foot, which is why it's called
He's
feet.
a nonprofit.
Yeah, exactly. Spreading peace and positivity. So he was kind of traveling the country on foot. I'm like, that's kind of cool. That's actually kind of what I want to do. I mean, not for charity, but that's kind of cool. So that's what kind of drew me in, because we had a similar interest. So I started following him, and I started watching all of his scopes. And back then, he became like really popular on Periscope. He had tons of hearts, tons of super hearts, lots of viewers on his scopes. And he was pretty popular. And back then, he really didn't have any haters. And that came later. And I watched all his scopes. Traveling is my thing, and that really interested me. And eventually,
Did you always know about me, Steve, or no?
Do I what?
Did you always know about me or no?
No. I don't remember. I don't remember at what point I found out about you. I can't remember what year. But yeah, I've known about you for a while though. And but
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, back then he really didn't have any haters. And then people would say like, "Oh yeah, he's a bum. He's a leech. He just wants to travel and have other people pay for it. He's like a total user." But I mean, realistically, a lot of people are like that, and it's really people's choice if they want to give money to him or not. So I'm like, whatever. It's not a big deal. Yeah, you could say he's a bum. He doesn't work a real job. You know, he says his social media is his job. So, and then people started accusing him of being a con artist and a scam artist and saying he was doing illegal things like wire fraud. And people reached out to me, this guy is a scammer. And like, well, can you tell me how he scammed people? Like, do you have any proof? Like, what scam was he running? And nobody ever showed me any proof. And we really never heard from any victims. Like, I never heard somebody like, James Saroka scammed me out of $3,000. Here are the receipts. Here are the proof. Like, I never really heard or seen any victims, these supposed victims. Like, where are they? Like, that's why I didn't take these threats seriously. And then I met him up for the first time in person in Hollywood. He came to California. I met him in Hollywood. And then we started hanging out. And then we went to Vegas together. It was a lot of fun. No really red flags. And then he hung out. He stayed at my parents' house in Laguna for a while. And we enjoyed our time. And then he went back to the East Coast. And people kept saying, yeah, he's a scammer. He's scamming people. Well, no, people give them their money willingly. Like, if he was running a scam, I would probably know about it. If he was running a scam, he would probably say, hey, Steve, like, I'm running the scam, making a lot of money. If you want to go on it with me, we can both make a lot of money. If he was doing a scam, I'm sure I would know about it. He would have asked me to go in on it. And that
like if he was saying like, I will give you this if you give me that. I mean, people are giving him money, he's not giving anything in return. Like, that would be a scam, right? But if he's just saying like, hey, I'm traveling, donate money if you want to see me travel.
Yeah,
like,
if
no,
he
that's not a
were to
scam.
have
That's
said
not...
that he was traveling and he was just a guy getting into crazy shit, you know, and you could tip me, that would be...
Yes.
Jimmy presented himself as an organization.
Yeah.
Nonprofit. Yeah, that was his first mistake, right?
Yeah, his first mistake was saying he was a nonprofit and calling this donation. And then he started getting more careful. He said, these aren't donations, these are contributions. And then he set up a Patreon. So these are contributions, not donations. And like at that time, I did not know of any actual scam, nothing. People accused him left and right. He's a scammer. He's committing wire fraud. And if he's staying at your home, using your Wi-Fi you're harboring a criminal, you're going to be criminally liable too. I'm like, I don't know of any scam he's doing. Like, show me proof, show me the victims, please. I want to see evidence. Nobody showed me anything.
That almost sounds like him now. Like what James says about other people now, that almost sounds like what they were saying about him back then, before he was super bad.
Well, much like the propaganda that exists in the world today, it's in the vernacular. What Jimmy does is he uses common social axioms and idioms found in business jargon to position himself as another entity.
Yeah.
He would come on and say, hi, everyone. My name is Jim Saroka with Peace International.
Yeah.
And I spent 2 years volunteering with the less fortunate. And now I'm here to meet and spend time with you.
Yes.
We at Feet Peace, you can be a part of what we're doing on our journey to, and apparently to spread positivity on the internet was the mission statement.
Yes.
All of that is complete bullshit and projection.
Absolutely. Yeah. I realized that later. And like, so his haters started growing and he got more and more.
Real fast, Steve, had he come on here originally and said, look, I'm just a schmuck who is willing, if you're paying for it, I'll travel to Timbuktu and do schmucky, weird, kiddie shit, and people would have left it alone.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think the first real mistake he made when he kind of did commit, I guess, charity fraud, he started asking for super hearts on Periscope as donations because he said he was raising money because he was going to travel to, there was like a natural disaster. I think it was that hurricane in New York or the Gulf. There's a hurricane around that time. I forgot which hurricane it was. Maybe it was in New York. I think, it was. Yeah, around that time, there was a big hurricane. So he said, I'm going to travel there to join in the cleanup efforts. So if you want to help raise money, give me donations to go there, and I'm going to do the cleanup effort. So he collected all these super hearts as donations, and he never went. And so all these people were pissed off.
No, he would commingle and confuse
Uh-huh.
his alleged movement with real time, like active themes in society.
Yeah.
So if there was a disaster, he was open to going and helping with this disaster if you would pay his car insurance and his meals and his gas. And like, wait a minute, bro, you aren't going to be able to do shit. Okay, we'll give the money to the Red Cross. You know.
Yeah, that would be.
But he would do that. He did it with Be Strong. You know, hey, I'm Jim Saroka. I'm with Be Strong, and I'm with Feet Peace International.
Yeah.
To confuse the audience into thinking that, you know, he was a part of something or he was a legitimate.
Yeah.
He'd do the same thing with sponsors. He got in trouble a couple times with like AT&T and
I remember that.
Adidas. You know.
Yeah.
By heavily insinuating and conflating what he was doing with an actual like Me Too movement or, you know, these things.
Yeah. I remember he said, "Oh, I'm sponsored by this company," and then when they called him out, I'm like, "Oh no, they're just like following me on Twitter, or they commented on my Twitter post, so that in some technical way they are actually kind of endorsing me because they responded to my comment, something outrageous like that." And then so when he ended up not going to that disaster relief cleanup effort, people got really pissed off, and they said, "We gave you this donation because you said you were going. We want our donations back." He said, "Unfortunately, there's no really easy way to refund Super Hearts once they've been given out, but I'm going to reutilize that money for another cleanup charity effort." And then he never did, and that's kind of like charity fraud, and that's kind of like a sketchy thing I saw him that is kind of fraud. That's really honestly the first thing I saw that actually kind of is fraud. And and then his haters grew from there. But I did still meet up with him, even though that part was kind of iffy. But as for actually committing real wire fraud, I don't know if it went that far. So that's kind of my history of how it started. When I first met him, he was pretty popular on Periscope, and then gradually the haters outnumbered the supporters.
Well, he was I would argue, Steve, that he was well known. I don't know if he was necessarily popular.
Popular, yeah. But he did get tons.
He was well known.
Yeah. Yeah, back when Periscope was really popular, he said, "I have more hearts," like people tap hearts as they're watching the scope. I'm not sure how well you remember it. He said, "I have more hearts than Ellen DeGeneres." I didn't actually ever check to see if that was true. He said, "I'm more popular, have more followers and more super hearts than Ellen DeGeneres."
Who uses Periscope maybe twice in her life or something.
Exactly.
I've never seen Ellen DeGeneres on Periscope.
No. But yeah, so that's kind of
when
how.
you first
at
met
one
him,
point, Jimmy was gonna like, you know, buy his own island and end up marrying Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
So it was.
He said that once.
But in his mind, Jimmy's actually as big of a disaster as he is. He's a great teaching tool for people who take this shit too seriously.
Yeah.
Because he's a great example of what happens to a human being when they think the internet is real.
Yeah.
The internet is not fucking real.
Yeah.
And no one's going to make a career out of just going live and bullshitting all day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not with at least something extra. So Steve, when you first met him, was he going by like Grayson Riley at the time?
Yeah, he was. He like switched his name. I forget the reason why he went by Grayson Riley. And then he's constantly changing his name. And then he changed it back and he said, "Dude, I must have been off my rocker when I decided to go by Grayson Riley." So there was a short period of time. I don't know how he picked that name. People said, "Oh, he's changing his name because he wants to dodge his legal problems." I don't know if that's true. But yeah, I remember he went by Grayson Riley for like a few months. Yeah.
That was like the original name change. Now he changes his name all the time, but like,
yeah,
that was the original. Yeah. So that's crazy. You knew him way back then.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, he was just a totally different person back then. Very sociable, just easy guy to hang out with. It's like charismatic. fun to hang out with. There's really no behavioral disorders, any mental health issues that I saw. And yeah, I did know about the accusations of scamming and wire fraud and all this and that. I never saw any of that firsthand. But that's the first impression that I got of him. And that's why I trusted him. And that's why I was kind of reluctant to believe all the haters and the warning signs. He gained my trust those years. He actually treated me pretty well. And like I said, he never, ever asked me for money. Never. He never asked me to pay for anything. Never. So I kind of trusted him in that way. So, but yeah, just things have, he's obviously, his situation has got much worse. I'm hoping that maybe this is the rock bottom and there's nowhere to go but up. Or maybe he can sink even lower. Maybe he can start even doing like violent crimes.
Jimmy thinks that he is ahead of the curve and that his career and his business is going to be just live streaming all day. And people are going to pay him millions of dollars to sit there and bullshit.
Yeah.
Hasn't worked for 7 years. It's not going to work in 7 years from now.
Yeah.
He's under the delusion that many kids, unfortunately, are under. Yeah. He thinks the internet is fucking real.
Yeah.
It's pretty unfortunate because obviously he had something. Like, he knew he was diagnosed with bipolar or something even back in college. He stopped taking his medication. And I think like everything that's happened, especially in the past 2 or 3 years, has just made his condition worse because he's unmedicated. And then he went to jail, which can't be good if you have like that kind of like a personality disorder and you're locked in one cell and you're associating with crazy people, right? Like other crazy people. And then you get out. And I think a lot of his lies are either coping mechanisms or like, so it's mental gymnastics. So like he can't accept reality. Like the reality is fucking bleak, right? So he has to like do these mental gymnastics. Oh, I didn't go to jail. I was a government black ops site or whatever, this and that. And then the other lies are like for attention. Like, I want to seem important. So, and like it just put you to sleep, right, Steve? But I guess
Steve, he's so narcissistic. He believes in his mind that he's ahead of reality.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He thinks he's so intelligent. He's above and beyond and ahead of everybody else's intellectual capability to perceive or know 10 to 20 years in the future what reality is going to be.
Yeah.
Ergo, why he behaves the way that he does.
Yeah. Absolutely. Huge superiority complex. Like he has a 200 IQ. Kept saying, I can graduate Harvard without any studying at all. That's how smart I am. And then
the best advice Jimmy has ever gotten came from Gary Vee within the first 5 minutes of him talking to him. He said, you have to have practicality with what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
Jimmy has no practicality whatsoever with what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing the stuff
unless he just loves getting. I mean, there are people out here that love being kicked in the balls every day, and they can get a kick out of it. So I don't know what you call those people. We were looking for this word a couple of days ago, or whatever. So maybe he enjoys being shit on or kicked in the balls. With some men like to be tied up and kicked in the balls by naked women with red high heel shoes on. That's a thing.
Yeah,
that is
he just likes that in his real life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I try to really reason with him to get to the bottom of this. I mean, trying to reason and sort out a crazy person from their delusions, it's really almost an impossible task. It's hardwired into their brains. You can never unconvince them of these delusions. But I actually foolishly and in vain, I tried. And everything I said to him and I kind of accused him. Yeah, I put him on the defensive, definitely. Everything he flipped back on me. He said that I'm the one who's controlling him. I'm the one dominating him. I'm the one who's using him. I'm the one who's taking everything away from him. And I'm the one who has zero intelligence. I'm a loser. I'm nothing. I would be dead without him. Everything he flips back on me. And it's a diversion tactic. And
it absolutely is.
Yeah. Again, if this is like, a mental illness in his brain, there's no way I can talk him. I can talk him out of this, or heal him by talking. There's nothing I can say or do that's going to cure this or even help or be therapeutic in
The
any
kiss
way.
didn't work, right? You figured the kiss would work.
Thank God it didn't go any farther. But he knew
You
that.
didn't see sparks, Steve?
Yeah. No, he did. Yeah.
He
Absolutely.
did,
Yeah. He was extremely comfortable immediately. It's like kind of too comfortable. Made himself at home. But yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, he realized he could see that I was visibly uncomfortable when he would touch me, and like again, I was.
Oh my God! Poor Steve. He was raping you.
Yeah, I was definitely not going to reciprocate. He thinks, okay, just because I'm a gay man does not mean I'm going to be attracted.
Yeah, he has no respect for gay men. Yeah.
Yeah, he thinks I'm just gonna be attracted to any guy who gives me attention. No, first of all, even if you're genuinely gay and genuinely attracted to me, I'm just not at all interested because also he's just a complete mess. And our personalities,
he's a creeper.
And our personalities are not compatible. And I realize now our personalities are not compatible even for friendship. We have no compatibility at all. And like I said, I did not enjoy his company one bit. I could not wait for him to leave. Like I had no idea he'd be this way. It was like torture, like listening to this over. It was torture. And I was seriously afraid I couldn't get rid of it. I was afraid he would refuse to leave, and that he'd threaten me if I tried to make him leave. I was ready to call all of my friends. Hey, come over here right now. I need to get rid of it because my guys, they're big guys, and they're intimidating guys, and they already know about James. I've told him about before, and he said, "Dude, you need to get rid of this loser. Like you have to get rid of him. I'll kick him out myself." So they're ready to come over. Although I do prefer to be a grown adult, and I do want to fight my own battles. But I do recognize like
you're ready to send your boys.
Yeah, absolutely. But
I would have loved to see that, honestly, just to see James be like, "Oh, damn! Like Steve has friends, and I'm not the center of his world, and they actually care about him, and they want me gone." Like, I would love to see that.
Also, James says that I have no friends or family at all, and that he's the only person in my life. I'm like, are you crazy? I have plenty of quality friends in my life, plenty of quality friendships, and family that loves me.
Is that a rhetorical question?
Yeah, like you're saying, he said, I'm the only person in your life. I'm the only friend you have. Like, are you crazy? Like, oh my God, like the crap that's coming out of this guy's mouth. And when I ask him to, like, substantiate some of these accusations, the assertions, the same thing as always. I'm not going to tell you. You don't deserve to know. You're not going to understand the answer. The same thing. Always. He always deflects. And I said, James, you can never, ever back up anything you're saying. And I can with specific examples. But definitely trying to reason with him is impossible. You can try till you're blue in the face. You can try for hours and hours. And it's an impossible task. It's a job that would never end. So that's why I realized this is a waste of time. I tried my hardest, but I also know when it's time to give up, and that's when you have to. I have
Steve. Even though he cannot get a license using your address unless he has a copy of a lease with his name on it. So just if he can,
really?
Yeah, you have to have a residential with your name on it. You have to have a bill with his name. Just because he has his birth certificate and social security number, they're not going to allow him to get an address because, but he has to provide a lease or a homeowner's thing that he owns or rents a house or something. I just looked into it on some stuff on California driving laws. So yeah, there's no way he can get a license with your name, your address on it.
So just be his old address then.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know. Thank you. That actually makes me feel a lot better. But I figured that kind of had to be the case because otherwise I could get a driver's license with anybody's address and claim to live there. Right. I could put the person's address and say, I live in this mansion. Here's my driver's license. Yeah, I imagine that had to be. You had to have some kind of proof that you live at that address. Yeah, utility bill or lease agreement. But
and his name has to be on a lease. They have to see a proof of residential from a renter, or if you own the house or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't have nothing to worry about there.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. That makes me feel a lot better. Thanks for looking that up for me because I wasn't sure. Because I thought, okay, like for a California driver's license, I thought he has to have a California address unless he is going to get a Pennsylvania. I don't think he can get a Pennsylvania driver's license in California unless he applied on the Pennsylvania DMV website, and then it's going to have it mailed to California. Maybe I'm not sure if he's going to get a
Steve, I
Pennsylvania.
would say that he had to replace lost identification. So your address was probably where they were going to mail his duplicate ID.
Okay, so that means he should be having a Pennsylvania driver's license.
Correct.
Okay, because the thing is, if he wants,
like Conger said, I don't see. Now you do live in California, but I think he's having. He told them that they were stolen or lost, and so the replacements were just probably being mailed to your address.
Yeah.
I don't think they can mail it out of the state, though. I think it has to go to the state, the address it's registered to, and then you have to obtain it from that address. So when I lost my Texas license and I got to Kansas, I lost my license. I contacted Texas to get a replacement. They said, we can't send it to Kansas. We can send you all the information in the mail so you can go get a Kansas license, but we can't send you a Texas license to Kansas. We can only send it to the address that was on the license. So, yeah, they can't mail a Pennsylvania driver's license to California.
Yeah. So, he was using his lack of ID as an excuse for everything. And I told him, like, why can't you get ID? Because, I mean, you had a driver's license before. You drove the car that you bought from Bruno. Like, you had a driver's license. What happened to it? Like, why is it that hard? He said, it's physically impossible. There's no way I can get a new ID. Okay, well, why? He said, I can't get a driver's license without my birth certificate. I can't order a birth certificate without showing my ID and my driver's license. So he said, I can't get the driver's license with birth certificate, and I can't get a birth certificate without driver's license. I'm like, there has to be a way around that. The government, you have to have ID. There has to be a way around it.
No, there is a way around it. I even Googled it. You can you can get a way around that.
Yeah. So I mean, there have to make some way, a pathway for you to get ID. The government's not going to say, well, sorry, you can't get a birth certificate without your driver's license, and you can't get a driver's license.
Apparently, you have to write a letter and get it notarized or something. Or you have to write.
Yeah. So you start by going. I think you go to the hospital you were born, the Department of Health and Vital Records, and or start there somewhere there. So you already know he was using that excuse to get out of everything. So like I mentioned, he was in Florida, and the first time he asked me to pay for something was a hotel. And I told you, well, you're not going to be able to check in to a hotel with no ID. Like every hotel asks for ID when you check in. And he said, okay, I'm gonna figure out a way around this. So he messaged me later on and said, okay, I have an idea. So when he was at an IHOP, he befriended the hostess there. This young girl, kind of naive, I guess. He befriended her, and he convinced this girl to come to the hotel with him. He said, look, here's the hotel I want to stay at. Here's the link on Expedia. If you can book it for me, and book it under this name, Amber Green, and then she's going to check in for me. But thing is, like, she would have to, she's not going to pay for the hotel room for me. Like, if you pay for the hotel room for me, you send her the money on Cash App, and then she's going to put her credit card, pay for credit card to pay for the room. So it's okay. So this girl, this hostess at IHOP, I Cash Apped her the money, and I made the reservation in her name. She went with James, checked in, showed her ID, and put her credit card down. And that's how he was able to check in. Unfortunately, what I realized at that time, it was 9 p.m. my time. It was 12 a.m. on the East Coast. But what I didn't calculate was on Expedia, normally it defaults to that day of. And I thought I was making a reservation for that night. But what I failed to calculate in was that it was technically the next morning on the East Coast. So I actually accidentally made a reservation for the next night.
Oh, no.
And it was non-refundable. I'm like, oh, God damn it. And he said, you made the reservation for the wrong night. It's tomorrow night. I'm like, damn it.
I think I vaguely remember him streaming and like getting angry about this.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he's like, damn it. Like, I can't really afford another hotel room. Can you just stay somewhere else and then check in tomorrow? And he said, the reservation's under this girl's name. Like, do you think she could come back tomorrow? Like, no, she can't come back tomorrow to check me in. She's going to be gone. I'm like, okay, God damn it. So, all right, I'll have to book you another night then. So I had to make another booking. I had to book another night for that night with her name on it. So my mistake, again, I didn't calculate the time difference. It was technically the next morning on the East Coast. So that's how I accidentally ended up having to get him 2 nights. Again, it was my mistake. That was like another $120 I had to spend, whatever. So this girl checked him in. But, if I was this girl, that was kind of a big risk because you don't even know this man. And if you check into this room under your name and you just leave, if James were to damage the room, steal something from the room, smoke in the room, get a $300 cleaning charge, take stuff from the minibar, and James leaves, she would be on the hook for everything.
Yep.
Her credit card is down for the room and the incidentals, and you don't even know this guy. If he were to do anything in the room, check all the minibar stuff, she's totally on the hook. Like that, and she was like a young, naive girl. I could tell because her photo was on the Cash App profile. So that was a kind of a big risk on her part. So he got lucky enough that somebody was kind of gullible enough to just check into a room for a total stranger. And then he asked me to get him more hotel rooms. Like, okay, James, you got really lucky in that you befriended somebody who's willing to just go to this hotel with a complete stranger and check them in and be financially on the hook for anything with that room. But I don't think you're going to keep getting that lucky, though. And he said, well, I can check into this hotel because the people here know me. Like, I don't need ID. I'm like, are you sure that's true? I've never stayed in a hotel where they didn't take my ID. But so I don't know how he was able to get other rooms with no ID. Because I travel frequently and they always ask for ID. It's like a security issue. They need to know who's checking in. They have to have your ID. So I don't know how he was able to get those other hotel rooms with no ID, but he claims, oh, I know these people. They know me. He says that about everything. Everybody knows him. Everybody protects him. So, yeah, I don't know how he was able to check into all these hotels with no ID.
Yeah, that's...
And isn't...
there's an element to this that somebody could easily walk up to Jimmy and tell him, life doesn't have to be this hard.
Yeah. We do that virtually all the time. It's just like, no, I like it like this. So, all right.
Yeah, it just, you got to comply a little. You got to give and get in life.
Yeah.
And with everything you just said to me, Steve, about this is just one hotel. I mean, there's you that's involved. There's an IHOP waitress or hostess involved.
Uh-huh.
There's 6 different names. There's credit card.
Yeah.
Life doesn't have to be this hard, people.
Yeah, can you imagine just for a place to sleep, you have to go through all these obstacles? Like, it's not worth it. Yeah, you got a free hotel room for 2 nights from me, but was it really worth these hoops you had to jump through? Isn't it easier just to find a job you enjoy, work a 9 to 5, get a guaranteed paycheck, have an apartment to live in? Is it really worth it to live this life? And I remember I told him when he was on his way here and he was hitting up for money left and right. Normally, I wouldn't ask this question to James. I asked him a question. I knew he wasn't going to like this question. But I asked him, James, like, I know you're constantly hitting me up for money, but do you have any plan to get out of poverty and homelessness? And he wrote back, yes, just one word. And I can tell he did not like that question. He just wrote, yes. Like, okay, thanks. Like, I was kind of hoping for a little bit more than one word, but okay.
Maybe a bit of
you know what else? Yeah. Maybe if he is listening to this, let me say this, because I am the GOAT of Periscope. I'm the best from our community that ever hit the button. And I will happily say to Jim Saroka, you're not good at this.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say we lost a longtime listener and Periscoper. Her name is Harry Winston. Rest in peace.
Was this recently?
I just found this out right now. Somebody tweeted about it, but anyway, sorry to bring that
down.
No,
it's okay. My condolences. I don't know that person, but my condolences.
I really liked her. She was really nice.
Oh, wow. Sorry to hear that.
I'm sorry to hear it.
Yeah.
There was some
earlier
today in a different room, but I don't know.
Can I ask you a question really quickly? Doesn't he still owe money for the charges and stuff he's got? He never paid the restitution or the fees or anything, right?
He never mentioned anything about that with me, any restitution fees or the fines.
Yeah, no, he hasn't paid anything.
Well, then here's a little tidbit he don't know. His license is suspended until he pays those, starts paying them those fines and shit, because he won't be able to get a driver's license. They have that shit suspended. He can get a picture ID, but he cannot get a driver's license.
Conger just flipping through like the driver's manual.
hopefully that's
if
true.
you have the thing said, if you have charges or have extended what was the word, outstanding payments, you will not be able to get a driver's license until those payments are up and current.
Or maybe it's suspended then if he hasn't paid it. I don't know. I can't imagine like his charges being that much. I think it was under 500 total. It would be crazy if he hasn't paid that back. It's been like over a year since the first arrest.
Yeah. Maybe somebody sent him the money to pay it. I could imagine that happening.
Well, yeah, that's it. He's not going to work for it or anything. That was the other thing I was going to say. Even a job, like you said, you get a job you like, you pay your own money. Even a job you don't like necessarily like, but it would just be better than being homeless, right? Like better than sitting for 8 hours in one place at a Panera Bread because you can't afford your own Wi-Fi. Just go and I don't know, put those little plastic things on the end of shoelaces in a factory for 8 hours. Like that's going to be more productive than what you're doing now.
Exactly. And it baffles my mind that he actually prefers this lifestyle because being homeless and like begging for food and not knowing where to go and sitting in a McDonald's morning till night. Yep, you said you were going to say something?
Were you paying? Were you helping him pay off his monthly Pennsylvania charges, like $100 a month, or his court fees?
No, absolutely. Okay. No, absolutely not. But he never even mentioned that to me. I didn't even know what his court fees, if he had them. No, he never. And if he asked me, I definitely would not have. I gave him like a $10.
Is that you, Josh? I'm watching you.
No, I asked him about that, and he said he's not paying it because they falsely accused him, so he's going to sue them for false arrest.
That's not going to happen. He needs money to sue people. He knows that.
Well, then he don't have a driver. He can't get a driver's license. So California will look him up in Pennsylvania and see it suspended, and they're not going to give him a driver's license.
Yeah. Wait, do you guys know if it's true that he has an outstanding warrant in Pennsylvania for violating the restraining order? Do you know if that's true?
Yes, he does. His mom has it on him.
And
not his mom. I'm sorry, Kate's mom.
Kate. Yeah.
Imagine his mom had that. Yeah, so he has...
His mom actually will help him if he moves home. Like, his mom loves him.
Yeah, but then he's also in the same state where he has the warrant. So they wouldn't, as far as my understanding is, they wouldn't extradite him from Florida or wherever else, like he gets picked up by police, because it's not worth their time. But he has been violating the restraining order by posting about her online. And then he'll go and be like, I was hacked, it wasn't me.
Doxing his baby's name on his Instagram.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was weird. So, like, when...
He was using the baby's name.
He found out that originally the kid was named after him, right? So when he found out that they changed the baby's name, he changed his name to the baby's name, and I was like, what the heck are you doing? Like, what?
And suggested someone call CPS.
Oh, my... Yes, he did do that, too. He was, like, encouraging all the... like 400 people, but they're mostly bots. Like, it's Bigo. It's like not real people. But he was like, anyone in here, call CPS because that kid is not safe. It's like, bro, what are you doing? Like, that's your kid, right? Like, you would rather your kid be put in foster care than raised by like a caring, loving family. That's insane to me.
Wow. Yeah. Man, that is freaking crazy. I can't imagine he would want to do that to his own children. That's like true mental illness. He's truly sick and twisted in the head.
It's like he's setting his child up for disaster, so like when they type in his name, he'll find him easier. Like his name will be tagged to James somehow, you know?
Wow.
Google database.
Yeah. I mean, thank God they did change the baby's name, because growing up, whenever the baby Googles his own name, all this horrible stuff is going to pop up. Thank God they changed the baby's name.
Right? Yeah, no, for real.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, he's this is why he shouldn't be on live stream like all day every day either. It's because like he'll say crazy things like that, where like if he was by himself and he wanted to have those thoughts, if he was having a bad day or whatever, and then like it's not on a public platform with a whole bunch of people, there'd be no problem. Like there's still crappy thoughts to have, and he's like he needs to take some accountability for his life, but he wouldn't be saying it to 400 people theoretically. You know what I mean? Like I just don't understand. He has no self-awareness, and it's sad for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, so I'm really curious to see what his next step is, where he's going to end up, if he's going to find another gullible sucker like me. I hope to God not. I hope whoever he gets into contact with, befriends, Googles his name, sees your content, the stuff on YouTube. I hope like nobody else falls for this. I'm really curious to see where he winds up. I imagine he's still in this area. Again, he says California is his new home. And I don't know for sure if he came here specifically for me, assuming he could live with me, because I'm really the only person here. I mean, he literally picked the most expensive place to live. If he wants to get his own place, just a basic one-bedroom apartment in this area is $2,000 a month starting, and it's going up fast.
Oh yeah.
So he couldn't have picked a more expensive place to live for a homeless person. If you want to get your own place, it's hell expensive. I don't know why he picked California. Maybe I don't know if he had that crazy idea before that he was going to get into acting, get into Hollywood. I don't think there's much of a chance of that happening.
He
in
was
this lifetime.
talking about that too, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I even took him to a modeling agency. I dropped him off there. He went to an audition, and he came back and said, yeah, actually, they told me that I'm not the right look.
Yeah. Oh, no.
So I don't know why he picked California as his new home the whole time. He kept saying on his way here, I was like, I'm coming home. This is my new home. I'm coming here. He has no freaking plan. So he said he's going to, I think when he was with me, he was setting up for a DoorDash and Uber, because he was using my phone number for the verifications to download these apps and accounts, because he didn't have a phone number yet until we got the track phone. So I know I could see on these notifications on my phone that he was submitting applications for Insta shopping, DoorDash and stuff. The thing is, if he can't get a driver's license because those unpaid fees, I believe you have to do those apps here in California. You have to have a California driver's license. You can't do it if you're visiting from out of state. You have to be a resident of California, and you have to have a California driver's license. So if you can't get a license,
actually, with Uber, you can go to other states and let them know you're there, and send them your information. And it takes about 48 hours. They will allow you to work there, but not for more than 30 days. So
okay, I didn't. Oh yeah, because I did look into that. Because when I was in Vegas, I did think about doing like Instacart in Vegas, and I did look it up. And what I remember reading is that you can't do it out of state unless, I think there was some workaround around it that you were talking about
Steve,
that I
you
didn't
were
know about.
Jim's new home, by the way. I don't think you understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically.
but even to sign up for those apps, you have to send them a picture of your driver's license, front and back. You have to send them a copy of your registration for your car with your name. You have to send them insurance with your name on it. It can't be your name.
Yeah.
It's got to be his name. Because my wife, I did Uber, my wife was going to do it, and because my name was on the insurance card, hers wasn't.
Yeah.
They wouldn't allow her to drive. We had to get another insurance card with mine and her name on it so she could drive. But they have to have all this information, and then they look up your tag number. If your tag's not registered to you, you can't drive. So that's all bullshit. He could have never gotten that.
Yeah, exactly. So I do know he downloaded the app because I was getting the verification codes on my phone, but he probably started the first process. But again, he has no insurance. Well, first of all, he doesn't have a car. He thought he could use my car to do it. He said, if I do DoorDash and Grubhub and I use your car, could I pay you for mileage? Like, no, I mean, because that's going to be a whole lot of driving, wear and tear. You should probably just get your own car, I told him.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have his own car. He doesn't have insurance yet. He'd have to get his own license. Like he said he got approved for all the ID replacements, and he said he got a temporary one to use in the meantime. He said, I got my temporary one. I'm already good to go. I can already start applying for jobs because they'll accept the temporary ID that I got. He said, oh yeah, I'm so well trusted by the government that when I applied for my passport, normally there's like kind of like a waiting period. He said, because the feds love him and he has a reputation, so they bend over backwards. The feds do special favors for James. He said like, oh yeah, my passport got approved in like 5 minutes instantly because in the government they know who I am.
But he couldn't get his ID before because they knew who he was, right? Like,
exactly, yeah. So I believe his plan. I thought he was going to start doing those gig apps, but that ain't gonna work. Like he has to get a car first. Like using mine was out of the question.
Honestly, he would be
So that
better.
was
Like, if there's so many undocumented people, like in California, like I'm sure there's under the table work he could do where he wouldn't need an ID or anything. Like he could go do those jobs. But I'm sure.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did suggest that to him. Hotel jobs, like most of the hotel industry jobs, like dishwashers and housekeeping, they're all undocumented. My husband did that when he was living when he was undocumented.
Housekeeping and
They're all
dishwashing. That's he'll never do.
Yeah, exactly. But if he really needs the money, he would never do that. He might try it. He wouldn't even last one shift. But that's an option I gave him. Like if you're undocumented, you want to make money. All those hotel jobs, they're all undocumented, and even the U.S. government, the authorities in California, they all know those. They're all undocumented, but they leave them alone unless they, like I told you, they're convicted of a felony. I told them you can be a laborer in the Home Depot parking lot. There's a whole bunch of them, day laborers, and they're all undocumented. They actually make pretty good money. Just offer your services for laboring, and those laborers, they actually don't work for cheap. I've hired them for moving, for projects, and they're pretty greedy. They do not work for cheap. They will not work for minimum wage. They want like a couple $100s. They actually make more than I do. It's pretty sad. So why don't you do that? Yeah. And I also, when he was begging me for money, he said, I have no other options left. What should I do? And I said, look, you want to stay in hotels every day and eat in restaurants every day. And the problem is, James, if I say yes to everything you're asking for, it's literally going to drain my entire income. So you're going to be living in hotels, eating in restaurants every day, and I'm going to be in poverty. We're basically trading places. I'm not going to trade places with you. I'm not going to be in poverty while you're sitting pretty, living in hotels, eating in restaurants. I can't even afford that.
He's trying to do that Eddie Murphy movie, Trading Places. Remember that movie?
Yes, exactly. Yes, I remember. Yeah, Eddie Murphy's like a poor homeless guy, and then it was Steve Martin, right? Was it who was the
Dan Aykroyd?
Dan Aykroyd, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It was like trading places. Like he wanted me to live in poverty, and he live a comfortable lifestyle. Like I said, like you're kind of homeless and not working. You kind of need to live like the homeless lifestyle. I'm sorry to say. Like, if I were you, if you really need money and you need food, like these homeless people, they manage to eat. Like they're not skinny. They manage to get food. If I were you, I would ask this homeless person, where are you getting your food from and your money? Like I need to be doing what you're doing, because these homeless people, a lot of them are homeless for life, and they know how to do it. They know where to get food and know how to get money. So James, you should probably, you're desperate for money, you need a few dollars for food just to buy a can of beans from Walmart. Just panhandle out a sign, ask for money, and people will give you money. I mean, they're kind of foolish, but people will give you money. And he said, I can't do it. Panhandling's illegal. I'm like, well, yes, it's actually illegal in most states. It's illegal here in California, but there are panhandlers everywhere, on every freeway, off ramp, every intersection. There's panhandlers here, and it's illegal. But the police, they don't enforce it. There's too many of them, and it's really a harmless crime. So yes, you can't really use that as an excuse, because it's illegal everywhere. So he has an excuse for everything. He doesn't want to panhandle. He just wants everything given to him, and he wants to live a comfortable life and not expect to live the homeless lifestyle. So I thought that was very unrealistic, and that really kind of annoyed me when he was constantly hitting me up for money, and I was making excuse after excuse. Oh, no, I can't give you the money. My roommate didn't pay me her half of the rent yet. Oh, actually, she did. I can't give you the money because I loaned my sister $5,000. Well, actually, no, I didn't. I actually have plenty of money in the account. But I first helping out him. I would gladly loan that money to somebody who's in really in need. But how I perceive it, anything I spend money on him, it's not going towards anything. It's not going to accomplish anything in the long run. Yeah, I get you a hotel room tonight. What about tomorrow night? What about the next night? The next week? The next month?
Do you know John Erlani?
Who?
Never. It's an inside joke. We'll explain it to you later.
I don't know the inside joke either, Steve. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so I perceived the money I spent on him. At first, I was hoping it was going to go towards reaching a goal in the long term, just to get him over the worst part. But if this is just going to be his permanent lifestyle, I can never, ever relate to this lifestyle, especially asking for sugar daddies, sugar mamas, doing the OnlyFans, saying, oh, if Josh is stupid enough to give me money, I'll take it from him. I just can't relate to that. I'm a hardworking person. I work 60, 80 hours a week. Even when I'm not working, I stay busy. I cannot support that lifestyle. I want to help you as a friend. And so that's why I
And you
stopped.
guys know what I'm sorry, Steve, I got to put this in there. You guys know what the bad thing is? There's a whole generation of kids with their faces stuck in these cell phones that haven't graduated high school or college yet. They're about to get kicked in the fucking face just like Jim Saroka when they have to go out to the real world and have no concept of what applying practicality to the actual reality is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But a normal kid,
Jimmy is just the first of thousands of kids.
A normal kid would
that are
live on the
about to
streets
have
for a
a
week,
wake-up
though.
fucking call when they graduate.
They would just be on the streets for a week and be like, I never want to do this again. I'm surprised that James has been on the streets this long, and he's like, I'm going to keep living like this. Like, he's so stubborn about it. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was anybody who gives him money, it is a total freaking waste of money. Like, I've donated money to charities. I like I said, I don't make very much money. Like, I'll tell you how much I make. I make $19 an hour, and in California, with how expensive cost of living is here, that's like literally most of my. So a few $100s, that's actually a big chunk of my paycheck. But I save and save. I manage able to travel. I still donated a lot of money to charity. I donated money to Raising Malawi, which builds schools and hospitals for kids in Malawi, Africa. I also donate my time. I donate blood, all that stuff. But I would never give James another penny because it is a total waste of money. I could literally give him $100,000, and I bet you a year later he'll be homeless and broke. He'll squander it, do something stupid with it. Maybe think he can gamble it and double the money. I would not trust him with a penny of mine. And I know, $100,000, a year later, he'd be homeless. And all that money, poof, gone.
Well, think about how many families you could help in Africa for $100,000 too, right? Like, yeah, they deserve it way more than Jim, for sure.
Yeah, so James, if you're listening, I actually have plenty of money in my account, and you're not going to have a penny of it because you just don't deserve it. It is a total waste, anybody who gives you money. I'm sorry. But I did pay for the fees for those replacement IDs because that's actually kind of a necessity, and I knew that actually is something important and worthwhile. If he is going to use his ID to get a real job, that's the first step he has to do is get that ID. So I was willing to pay for that, but nothing else.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing that I said to you was like, he also needs to be able to be properly identified if he gets picked up by police, because there's been a few times where he'll just talk his way out of the cops. I don't have ID. I'm not actually this James Saroka. I'm this other James Saroka, my brother, who has all these charges. That's not me.
Well, Steve, technically, you only have to identify yourself if you commit a crime,
or they're suspecting you of committing a crime. Yeah.
Right. That's right. Yeah. And I remember I asked him, like, why don't you, I was talking about him and not having ID. Like, why don't you have ID? He said, I relinquished my citizenship.
So he told you that too.
Well, he tells everybody that.
Yeah, but like, it's interesting to see what he tells the public and then what he tells Steve. Because he told the public he was in a black site. He told Steve, like, he actually went to jail. So that is like a manipulative lie to get you to be, for him to be more interesting or for us to be scared of him or something. I don't know. But obviously he knows that's a lie. But then there's these delusions where like he thinks he's relinquished his citizenship, like just by like how Michael Scott declared bankruptcy. He just walked into the office and was like, I declare bankruptcy. Like, he didn't relinquish his citizenship.
Yeah. And first of all, like, what exactly does that mean, and what benefits it provide? Does that mean he's immune from prosecution, or?
Well, that's what he says.
I don't. Yeah. So that's another excuse for not having an ID. So I did help him with that. But like I said to you guys, the total I spent with him since I got in touch with him was about $400. Again, a total waste of money. I'm sure, like, compared to what Josh has spent, that's like pennies. I'm sorry, Josh, that he's used you all this time, and the fact that he doesn't even appreciate it. I know he's telling me one thing. He's telling Josh something completely different. But he's saying Josh is this horrible, horrible, evil person that's trying to dominate him and control him. And James said, Josh has taken everything away from me. Not money, but everything else Josh has taken away from me. He sabotaged my relationship with Kate. The reason why we got all separated is because Josh sabotaged our relationship try to pull us apart so he could move in on me. But then he totally changed his story. He's telling me that he had to leave Kate to protect her. He totally changed his story with me about why he left, how the divorce happened. But originally he blames everything on Josh. And the fact that Josh is giving you money, he did so much for you, and you act like he's your worst enemy. Like, how could you do this? Somebody who treated you so well and did so much, and you're saying horrible things about him. You're like relying on him. I think without Josh,
Josh is a pretty evil person.
Josh is but Josh, you gotta understand, this is what he's saying about you. Like, I don't know what he's saying to you, Josh, if he's trying to be like, everyone is crazy, I'm the only one who cares about you. He doesn't care about you at all. Like, at all.
I've been listening to Steve. Now, that was before, but now hearing it from a sensible person like that, now I see. Because he was telling me about Steve.
Yeah. I'm not sensible person.
What did he say about Steve?
He told me that you went and you left him in the park, and you called him paranoid, and he says, "Don't call him paranoid," and you owe him all this. You owe him all this money, and he had to pay you because if he didn't pay you, you were going to beat him up.
What? That's what he told you about Steve?
Oh my gosh. I would never in my life threaten anybody. I'm like the most harmless person. I've never gotten into a physical fight with anybody. Absolutely not. That's freaking crazy.
Well, I got in a fight with him one time.
A physical fight? You did?
Yes, I did.
Did you?
I think I remember about that. Did you? Who instigated it? Like, it was you or him?
He instigated it.
And did you get hurt?
No, he did, but not me.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you won the fight. Hopefully that taught him a lesson. But yeah, luckily he
Jimmy
never
knows who the real man is.
I wasn't expecting that.
Neither was that. That was a twist.
Yeah, I really feel sorry for
we were talking about something. We were in the living room. He was sitting on that sofa that nobody could sit on, and I was in the chair, and Kate was over there, and he said something, and I told him something, and he didn't like what I said, so he threw his water at me. Not his water, but threw it. So I said, and so he did. So I got up, and he stood up, and so then he said something, so I just hauled off and hit him right in the chest. And then he told me I'll be sorry for that, and then he walked out and made a YouTube video about it.
Oh my gosh!
Well, there you go.
Wow.
What a dysfunctional household that was, huh?
Couch no one can sit on. Now he has no couches to sit on. What does he think of that?
Yeah.
He could sit on a fucking rock outside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I won't be surprised if any minute now he tries to kiss up to me and tries to
call you.
Yeah, like all the tactics, but
oh yeah, he will.
Do you miss him at all, Steve? Sometimes?
Oh, absolutely not. I never want to see him again. I wish I didn't have to give him his mail.
Okay, I have a Google number that he had, and I got a message on there that says, "You guys need to cease and desist immediately. I will be in touch with an attorney tomorrow." Steve, you're going to lose your job. Conger, the cops will be at your house tomorrow. Well, I'm not in town, so good luck on that. And Steve, you're going to lose every fucking account you have.
Which account? Wait,
what about me? How come he never?
Said both the Steves?
Steve, Kelso, you're going to lose your job tomorrow. And the other Steve that's broadcasting on this account, you're going to lose every account you have by tomorrow.
Why does he never yell at me?
I have unlimited
Why am
accounts.
I always left out?
Accounts unlimited. He can never ban all my accounts.
So yeah, the cops are going to be at my house tomorrow. So, but I'm not even in town, so that's kind of funny. I have to call my wife.
Conger?
Yeah, I'll
it?
copy it. Let me go copy it. Put it up.
Why does he always exclude me? I'm always left out.
What
Chris,
did you say?
More fire.
Well, earlier today, you said you weren't that invested in him. So he's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, that's true. I mean, maybe he'll get pissed if I start dating Kate.
You know what, Chris?
Shit.
Does he know that you were with that involved with that other chick, the one that tricked him for so long?
Svetlana, I don't even know if he knows. Like, to be honest, because he still texts her, but we haven't talked in like 3 days.
He might be like embarrassed because of that. Maybe he's like, I'm not going to mention Chris because then I can't speak.
Svetlana. We have to
Something
do
happened with
text reveal of hers.
I'm going way back, but something happened with Mary and Jimmy back in the day.
I heard they met up at one point.
Maybe she fucking catfished his ass or some shit because she did a live with Molly. I don't know.
Heard they met up at one point. I don't even know. Like, I found that out later.
That's going way fucking back.
We had some infiltrators, Phil. Conger is using his kid, but I mean, I got like girls that he hits on Amiga.
Well, he'll just hit on anyone. I have accounts, right? Well, I used to make accounts like as women because he doesn't ban women as frequently, right?
Never.
But then he started hitting on them and would demand that I speak with him or else he'll block them. So I had to start making guy accounts. So it's like, it was weird, man. Like, I wouldn't talk on them, like maybe once or twice, and then he'd just hone in on them. It's really creepy. So if you're an actual woman, I wouldn't want to be around James.
Them. He literally harasses them. If you give him your iMessage, you'll never stop getting texts from his weird, creepy ass. You got to see these texts he sent this girl. He'll just like talk about his dick out of nowhere, and
what?
Like the girl doesn't know how to respond.
Well, yeah, because what the heck? I don't know, man. He's crazy. Steve, I'm glad that you are away from him now, and hopefully, like the last time you see him will go smoothly, and just give him his stuff. He's out of your life forever.
Just don't give him his mail. Go kill it.
Just kill the mail.
Kill the mail.
Other than that, did you guys want to ask him anything else? Steve, did you have anything
I would say to
Steve, this is
when you meet with him again to do this mail exchange, I probably wouldn't go along. I'd have a friend or something.
You should YouTube their
and it just would be a quick, hey, I'm going to leave it right here on the table. Yeah, all right, pick it up off the table and peace.
Yeah, I could just like throw it out when he's walking up, throw it out the car window and take off. I could bring a friend with me who could videotape the whole thing in case.
You just you walk up. He's sitting at the table at the mirror outside. You guys walk up. Here you go. And peace.
Delive, you should
don't throw shit at him. Give him a reason. Just
I got an idea. Hold that shit till I get there, and I'll take it to him.
Oh my goodness. You'd have a heart attack.
Your kid will bring it to him.
Well, I'm going to wrap it up because we've been going, I think, since like, 7:30, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, Steve has fucking brought the fire tonight, Steve.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you.
Steve and Josh, my God, Josh, every time there's a space, you try to take it over, Josh.
I know, right? He's fucking crazy.
We can do a stream tomorrow asking Josh what he's been up to. What is all this?
Yeah, I am going to interrogate your fucking ass.
And then we can catch up on his stream that he did today that we didn't get the chance to listen to. I didn't listen to any of it today. Other than the one I was in on a couple of my accounts where I was just like, you're live. And he was like, I'm going to get you arrested, Steve. Oh, he said, that was the other thing. He said that I drove people to kill themselves today. And I was like, what? Like who? Like I can see James doing that. The only person.
Conger, did you post? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Conger, did you post?
Did he post that DM from him on that Google number?
Not yet. I gotta go. I mean, still, if I leave here, I'm not gonna.
Okay. Well, I want to see that fucking thing posted so I can retweet it ASAP.
Well, I've got to edit it, but I don't want my fucking number out there, so I've got to take my number out. So
yeah, you can just craft it.
Can you guys imagine if Jimmy Saroka and Sarah Bentley got married?
Who?
Fucking Chris would know. Conger would know because Sarah Bentley.
Oh, the one with the stupid bird.
Yeah, Sarah Bentley is the female Jimmy Saroka. I mean, the exact same fucking person.
Imagine I married Kate.
If they fucking got married, man, it would be like some type of quantum zero energy suck, and like it would invert reality.
Like when two stars like merge into each other.
She pulled the same ID shit. Like I can't get. I don't have my ID. I can't get a job.
There's a lady in Vegas or somewhere named Tamara, and she moved into her garage and just had all kinds of shit sent to her. She had a bird that somebody sent her like a $200 cage and all this shit. And Tamara kept trying to get her ID and get jobs. And she wouldn't do shit. She would just like sit around and they sent her like stuff to do art.
She was.
Oh my god!
Fucking
She's
meth.
the female Jimmy Saroka. I swear to God.
She was smoking meth, living on the fucking patio of this meth house, just like sanding old ass furniture like all day, hair all fucked up, smoking cigarettes, not gonna sell a damn thing. Big Armo has to go to give her tacos and pizzas so she don't starve to death, dude. I just fucking insane. Nothing ever works out.
Jimmy doesn't do
the two of them,
so that's like that'd be one difference.
All that
He's
shit.
Scared of drugs.
They should have fucking met like 3 years ago, and it would have been like the Twilight Zone.
No, like before the meth, like if they met.
Oh, dude, it's like she was lying to this chick, living on the fucking patio. The bird was all up in her hair, shitting in her hair.
What?
I mean, she was sandpapering this old ass furniture, high as fuck. Then she got kicked out of there. Then some random dude.
Wait.
She was sitting on his porch.
Did she go to like some whorehouse and try to work for a while?
She was working at the fucking what's that place called out in Vegas? The Bunny House.
The Bunny Ranch.
But she wasn't at the Bunny Ranch because she wasn't good enough to be like an A-level whore. She had to go to wherever that place is that like, what's his name? LeBron James almost had a heart attack. He had fucked some in
the B team?
Like the C-level whorehouse.
C-level, not even B-level. Oh my goodness.
She couldn't make it to the B. She couldn't make it to the A. Like they sent her ass packing and she quit the dude. I could go all night.
Yeah, I have no idea who this person is, but they sound crazy.
Crazy as fuck. And a train wreck like a motherfucker, just like Jimmy. The two of them meeting, dude. You could have a whole you'd have 5 seasons of a Netflix fucking show.
And then you'd have who's that relationship counselor? It's not Dr. Phil, but it's is it Mari? No, I don't know. I can't remember. They could go on that show after.
What? I'm sorry I ruined the ending because you was trying to wrap up, but that just popped into my head. Because she pulled the same shit, living in Tamara's garage. She couldn't find her ID when at, minimum she could have damn called the whorehouse. They'd have faxed her the copy of the ID that she used to get a job there. Just all types of bullshit, lies, and manipulation.
Tamara spent thousands of dollars on her, and then she just up and left Tamara. Didn't pay her back anything. Took off.
Left the garage, dude, with bird shit everywhere. She had moved so many damn times on Periscope, dude. She had this parakeet that she had stolen from somewhere. And like every time she moved somewhere, she up and left whoever was letting her stay. Periscope would buy the bird a new bird cage. This bitch probably left 16 different bird cages in random strangers' houses all over the United States of America within the course of 2 years.
They're collector's items now.
Wait, is it true? Is it true she's married and has a kid now?
I don't know. Last I heard, yeah, she got pregnant and had a baby with some dude she met up on here.
Crazy world, man. Crazy world.
Steve, I'm telling you, man, Jimmy Saroka is just one of the many stars in the universe.
I can't keep up with all those other guys. James is like the guy. I don't even know how he became the guy, but he's the guy.
He's the guy, right?
For doubt.
But there's been some runners up. There's been some close seconds and thirds and fourths and fifths and sixes and sevens and eights and nines and tens.
But he steals the cake.
How the hell do you think I had a show?
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. Steve, thanks again for coming on. If you ever want to come on in the future, you're more than welcome.
And I followed Steve, so I can talk to him later about some other stuff. So,
absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It was good to get this off my chest.
Of course. No, of course.
Yeah, I figured like when we were DMing each other last night, I was like, you probably would want to come on. So I'm glad that you did, and you had a lot to say. So I'm sure the people are satisfied, and we got some answers that we were looking for, which which is good.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I hope everyone else has a great night. It's Wednesday, so we're halfway. Is it Wednesday? I don't know. I think it's Wednesday. We're halfway through the week, almost the weekend, and I will see you guys all tomorrow, where we ask Josh the hard-hitting questions if he's down for it. If not, we'll just do the replay. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.